As we get down to the field and check in with Michelle Tafoya. Michelle.
Well, Al, that's right. As you said, last week Brett Favre left the game early because of a concussion. The week before that, it was a hamstring injury. But tonight, Favre comes into this game hurting from emotional pain. On Wednesday, his 24-year-old brother-in-law, Casey Tynes, was killed in an ATV accident while riding on Brett Favre's property in Mississippi. Favre attended a wake Friday night, followed by a funeral Saturday. And yesterday, he told us all of these events have brought back memories of his father's death last December. But he said by far the most difficult thing about this has been seeing his wife Deanna go through so much suffering. He said in the 20-plus years he has known her, he has never seen her this emotional. It was her little brother after all. Favre says he feels fortunate in that he has the next 3 hours to escape and just be himself and get caught up in the energy of this game. And now he hopes maybe, just maybe, Deanna and her family can find a measure of distraction along with him for the next 3 hours.
Thank you, Michelle, and we do too. And there is Deanna on the right, who, in the wake of what Brett did in that game against Oakland following his father's death, and Brett was given an ESPY award for it, Deanna gave just a fabulous acceptance speech in Los Angeles in July.
I think that was the best speech that night, Deanna Favre.
It was. So here goes Favre and company with Ryan Longwell to kick it off. It's a beautiful night. Troy Fleming, who is a rookie from Tennessee, and we'll see some action in the backfield at fullback tonight for the Titans, is ready to accept this kick. So some team is going to get a little healthier and end the night 2 and 3, and the other is really going to be in a crater at 1 and 4. And who would have thought, when you looked at the schedule, that each of these would be 1 and 3 as we conclude week 5. Fleming comes up to the 11-yard line and brings it back out to the 34-yard line as we take a look at the Tennessee starting offense.
Steve McNair, Alcorn State.
Chris Brown, Colorado Buffaloes.
Rob Holcomb, Illinois. Derek Mason, Michigan State University.
Drew Bennett, UCLA.
Shad Meyer, Kansas State.
Brad Hopkins, Illinois.
Jacob Bell, Miami of Ohio.
Justin Hartwick, Kansas.
Benji Olson, Washington.
Fred Miller, Baylor.
One starter missing. He went on injured reserve is the left guard, Zach Pillar. And McNair's going to air it out on first down, and the pass is incomplete. Drew Bennett looking over his shoulder over the top to try to bring it in, but couldn't. And Michael Hawthorne and Darren Sharper are both there on the coverage.
Well, you know one thing, they're going to work on Michael Hawthorne, number 27, and they get right off the bat. They get Drew Bennett. He gets a couple of steps on him. Steve McNair makes a perfect throw. Bennett has to catch that ball. Watch a good play action pass, no rush. He gets the ball over his right shoulder, and he just drops it.
So McNair physically, a question, looked 100% on the first play of the game. Throwing it downfield. Now back to the ground they go, and this is Chris Brown up to the 39. Let's take a look at the Green Bay defense.
Aaron Campbell, Iowa.
Cledius Hunt, Kentucky State.
Cullen Jenkins, Central Michigan University.
Kabir Bajabia-Miller, San Diego State.
Paris Lennon, Richmond.
Nick Barnett, Oregon State.
Niall Diggs, The Ohio State University.
Michael Hawthorne, Purdue.
Bao Penn State University.
Darren Sharper, College of William and Mary.
Al Harris, A&M Kingsville.
And it's 3rd down and 5 now from the 39-yard line. 4-man Packer front. Quick flip out here to Mason, and Mason gets a nice block and turns it into a first down and rumbles all the way down to the 38-yard line of Green Bay. Little flip off to the right, got the block that he needed, and Tennessee moves the chains.
Yeah, it's just a receiver screen out here. It's an amazing play. When they get 3rd and 5, you'd think that they'd try and get the ball up the field. You see, he just comes in motion here, then he becomes the outside guy, then he works back, has a little patience to let that blocker get out there in front of him.
And that blocker was Fred Miller, coming over from the tackle spot to spring him. 24-yard pickup, first down at the 37-yard line. The fake to Brown, that buys time, and then the pass is incomplete, intended for Bennett. Steve McNair, 10th year in the league. You look at his numbers, 63%, that's good, but only 1 touchdown in the 3 games in which he's played, and that rating is not very good, and most of the stuff he has thrown has been short. They've been picking up very little yardage on their pass plays this season.
Right, and you know, and they try and remedy that early, throwing that deep one to Bennett right off the bat. And I think one of the big things with McNair tonight is, will he be able to take a hit? That's what he was worried about last night.
He also has a gimpy ankle that required surgery last year, and a huge hole for Chris Brown. Brown, the successor to Eddie George, runs in for a touchdown. So on the opening drive, Tennessee with a big conversion on 3rd down to Mason, and then a run by Chris Brown of 37 yards, breaking a tackle along the way. And just like that, a minute and a half in, Tennessee has the lead.
Yeah, and that's where the Packers have been having trouble. Fred Miller is going to make a block here. The off guard is going to pull, and right behind him is going to be Chris Brown. Watch 71. Fred Miller is going to come down. Number 60, Jacob Bell, comes around, and Chris Brown, number 29, gets right in behind him. See Jacob Bell right there. He made that block, and that's the one that sprung Chris Brown right at the line of scrimmage.
Extra point by Anderson is good, and this crowd, and they were here last week, and they watched Tiki Barber shred the Packers. And now Brown for 37, and it's 7-0 Tennessee. Field coverage provided by the Bud Light lip, hovering high above Lambeau Field on a gorgeous mid-October night. Not so gorgeous, though, for that Green Bay defense. 7-0 Tennessee. Craig Hentrick to kick off. Fielded at the 6-yard line by Antonio Chapman, and he gets taken down up at the 20-yard line.
Yeah, we're going to have to show that run again. Watch, Chad Meyer is going to come down and get a block here. Fred Miller gets a block here. Off guard pulls. You see Chris Brown gets right in behind. But watch Chad Miller here and Chad Meyer here, and the job that he does right there. He picks off Bao Ju, who was the extra safety up there. He picked him off, and that's the block right here that really springs Chris Brown.
So Brett Favre, career start 194, broke Ron Jaworski's record a couple of years ago, and this is Ahman Green picking up a yard, maybe a little bit less. Let's take a look at the Green Bay offense.
Brett Favre, University of Southern Mississippi.
Ahman Green, Nebraska Cornhuskers.
William Henderson, UNC.
Robert Ferguson, Texas A&M. Donald Driver, Alcorn State.
Robert Franks, University of Miami.
Chad Clifton, Tennessee.
Mike Wall, Naval Academy.
Ray Rugemer, Arizona State.
Marco Rivera,
Penn State.
Mark Tauscher, Wisconsin.
Key guy in that line, and that's a great line, is Mike Flanagan, but he's hurt on injured reserve and he's gone, so Rugemer takes his spot. And on 2nd down, this is William Henderson, the fullback, coming out of the backfield. It'll be 3rd down and about 6. And let's take a look at the defense now for Tennessee.
Kevin Carter, Florida Gators.
Brian Law, Washington State.
Albert Hainsworth, Tennessee.
Carlos Hall, Arkansas.
Justin Enna, Brigham Young.
Brad Castle, North Texas.
Keith Bullock, Syracuse. Andre Dyson, Utah.
Tank Williams, Stanford University. Lamont Thompson, Washington State.
Samari Rolle, Florida State.
They're really hurting at linebacker. They lost Peter Sermon before the season. Tonight they're without Rocky Kalmus, and the Packers will try to exploit the middle 3 if possible on 3rd down and 7. Favre steps up, guns it over the middle, and the pass is incomplete. He tried to get it to Donald Driver right down the middle, and it's 3 and out for Green Bay.
You know, it's interesting. I was talking to the offensive coordinator of the Packers the other day, Tom Rosley, and he said that they really work on their first 3 plays now because that first drive is so important to them, and getting that first down. And of course, we just saw those first 3 plays unsuccessful. So now you wonder, now what do you say? Okay, now the first 3 didn't work. Let's go to the next first 3.
Punt. Brian Barker sends it to the 30-yard line, and Derek Mason will bring it back to the 37. So it's Tennessee that gets off to the hot start, then a 3 and out for Green Bay, and the Titans have it again, leading 7-0 early at Lambeau. Tennessee defense creating a 3 and out. The offense thanks to Brown mainly, and Derek Mason on a third down conversion have made it 7-0, and here they go again up from the 37-yard line. Deep drop by McNair, hit as he throws and gets it off, and it's Chris Brown taking it up to the 45-yard line. For so many years you could count on Eddie George, who didn't miss a start in his 8 seasons at Tennessee, but it was time for him to go. And take a look at that. Over the past couple of years, you can see George's productivity diminishing, but he could still make the third down. The big problem for Chris Brown is this: 1 for 6 on 3rd and 1. And we were talking to Mike Heimerdinger last night, the offensive coordinator. He says what he's been doing on 3rd and 1 is he's looking for a home run. Well, he did hit a home run before on the touchdown play. That wasn't 3rd down, though.
Yeah, and his short yardage plays, he really doesn't get his shoulders square and keep his feet moving.
Doesn't have to here with the holes that they are creating. And that's Brown taking the ball to the 48-yard line. And for the Green Bay Packers, John, you can really see what the absence of Grady Jackson in the middle has meant to that line.
Yeah, that's such a big thing. Remember, Grady Jackson went out against Carolina, and right after Grady Jackson went out, there's Grady right there, and right after he went out, it was like the cat was away and the mice started running all over the place, mostly right up the middle.
Jackson, former Raider. Green Bay yielding 4.9 yards per rush coming into the game. That's a lot. 1st and 10 from the 49-yard line, and McNair throws to the outside, and open is Bennett. And he's able to bring it in at the sideline for another 1st down.
And we said earlier that Steve McNair has to look like last year's Steve McNair, and so far he's doing that. I think that first play that they did where they threw deep to Drew Bennett, I think that was big. Here's Bennett right here. Now they have 3 guys out there. The fullback short. Drew Bennett's the middle guy. Then they have the deep guy. He chooses the middle guy, and he hits him perfectly.
Got between Diggs and Hawthorne, and they can pick on Hawthorne because he's the guy who's replaced Mike McKenzie. McKenzie held out, came back, signed, played only 9 snaps, and that was enough to become a distraction in the locker room, according to the folks here in Green Bay. And they shipped them off to New Orleans last week. 1st down and 10 from the 30-yard line. Brown again. Flag is thrown. First of the game, and Brown is on his way to the end zone pending the call. So they blitzed. They got burned. But let's see about the penalty. Bill Vinovich is the referee. And it's his 5th game as a ref and his first on Monday Night Football.
Offsides. Defense, number 94. Penalties declined. Touchdown.
This is the thing with blitzing. You know, when you pick it up, as the Titans do on this play, you're going to get a big run. Watch this. They start on a double there. They stop that backside. They get a good lead block there. They pick up the blitz. There's no one there. And then Chris Brown does an excellent job of running. That's where he is. I mean, he might not be a great short yardage and goal line runner. He can sure make those kinds of runs.
29 yards. He's already gained 78. We played 5:15, and that's a sound you don't hear very often at Lambeau Field. But it's resounding right now, 14-0. This just moments ago, and there is Mike Sherman just reaming out the defense, because in 5 minutes and 15 seconds they've given up 2 touchdowns and they've barely laid a hand on a Titan.
Well, it's very poor tackling. What he's mad about, they have a blitz and that doesn't do it. Before that they had 8 men up and they just ran right by him. They're not getting anyone to him to tackle him.
Hendricks kick fielded by Chapman, and he brings it up to the 31-yard line, and here's Michelle.
Well, we've seen Chris Brown make an early impact tonight, 2 touchdowns runs. He started out at Northwestern, Al, and he was recruited there by Gary Barnett, but ended up redshirting his freshman year, and then Barnett left for Colorado. The new coaching staff wanted to make Chris Brown a wide receiver. He said sorry, transferred to a junior college in Kansas, promptly ran for about 1,300 yards, and then joined Gary Barnett in Colorado, had 2 stellar years, came into the NFL. He's very happy with how he's starting here, filling in for Eddie George, but he said, hey, it's how I finish the season, not how I start, that matters, Al.
He's already had 300-yard games. He was stopped last week in San Diego, but tonight 78 yards already for him as Ahman Green carries the ball for a gain of 1.
You know, he is a long-legged running back, and he runs straight up, and so he never wins the battle of the shoulder pads. But he has moves, as Bob Sloak, the defensive coordinator, the Packers, he said he has moves that you don't know are moves, and I think we're seeing some of that tonight. But if you can get square up on it, you can get some big hits on this guy. But the Packers haven't even gotten to him.
Here's Green to the 38, and he fumbles, and that's his 4th of the season, and it is recovered by Tennessee. And what a disastrous beginning for the Green Bay Packers. They're sieve-like defensively. They can't get anything going offensively, and now Green with another fumble. It was a problem early last year. Then it wasn't a problem in the second half, and it's his 4th already here this season.
Well, you know, he always carries the ball in his left hand, and everyone knows that Ahman Green does fumble. So when they go for the tackle, they also go for the strip. They know where the ball's going to be. It's always going to be in that left arm. So as they tackle him, watch this, they always go, and someone is just going to put a hand in there and try and punch the ball out.
He got in a vice. The ball comes out. And now Tennessee at the 34-yard line. And the Titans rarely this season have started a drive in opposition territory, but they do here, and it's a screen set up for the rookie. This is Troy Fleming, and Fleming picks up a first down as he gets to the 23-yard line. Stopped there by Cullen Jenkins. First down, Tennessee. It's only the 2nd time this season that the Titans have started a drive on the opposition side of the 50-yard line.
It looks like the Titans can do anything they want to. If you look at the start of this game for the Packers, they've been having these same problems the last 3 weeks. Not being able to stop the run, not getting a pass rush, not tackling, and Ahman Green fumbling.
Sherman shaking his head, pursing his lips. The Titans have outgained the Packers 141 yards to 5. And on first down from the 22-yard line, we've got a penalty.
Ball start. Offense. 84. 5-yard penalty. Go first down.
Shad Meyer. Now the Lambeau Mystique, look at that, from 96 through 2002, 49-7. They won 7 times as many games as they lost. You go back to their last 10 regular season games, 5-5. And in the playoffs, they're 1-1. And this whole Lambeau Mystique thing may have begun to shred the night Michael Vick came in here after the 2002 season and won a wild card game. 1st and 15. And the handoff goes to Brown, and Brown gets inside the 25, a gain of about 3.
You know, you just watch the line of scrimmage, and the Green Bay Packer defense isn't very stout. You know, that's the word they use now for big old heavy guys, and everything seems to be going backward. And they don't look like they've won a battle yet on defense at the line of scrimmage. You know, they're not getting any penetration. They're not getting blocks and getting the blocker back into the backfield. They're all playing on the Green Bay Packer side of the field.
That's amazing. In the history of this venerable building, they've never allowed 3 touchdowns in the first quarter of any game. Action again on the left side of the offensive line. Kabir Baja-Biamila.
Kabir started once, got back, and then started again.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense, number 94. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
Yeah, he was thinking about the count there, Al. You know, I mean, these guys try and jump the count because, like, when you get a West Coast offense, you know, they usually, if there's ever motion, they always go on 1. So then when you have someone that doesn't go on 1, after you pass 1, they think, well, they're going to go the next time. And I think Kabir just got caught up in that one.
So now it's 2nd down and 5 with 7 minutes to play in the opening period. 14-0 Tennessee. Driving again are the Titans after the Ahman Green fumble. Long count. Short drop to the end zone to Mason, and Mason is on the chalk. Al Harris with the coverage. 3rd and 5. Here's Michelle again.
Well, Michael Hawthorne, the Packers cornerback, took a blow to the head. He is questionable right now. They are looking at him. Remember that Brett Favre had the concussion last week, so they're probably giving a similar examination to Michael Hawthorne right now, but an already young defensive backfield out taking another blow.
Again, we talked about McKenzie. He's already gone to New Orleans. They have to put Ahmad Carroll in there right now. #1 pick out of Arkansas. So it's 14-0. It's 3rd down and 5 at the 18-yard line. And it's a toss to Brown. And he finally gets taken down. That's a big defensive play. Nick Barnett is there. And it's Barnett who got blamed for the big run by Tiki Barber, missing a tackle last week. And here he comes up with a very big one early.
Yeah, because that's the thing that Nick Barnett can do. He's a middle linebacker who has great speed. And we say that he's not very stout in the middle, but the thing that he can do is run sideline to sideline. And if you run parallel, he's as fast as you are. And where they get to Nick Barnett is when they run straight at him.
The 45-year-old Gary Anderson to attempt a 36-yard field goal. Joe Nedney was hurt at the start of the season. Anderson had retired, but back he comes to tack on 3 more and make it 17-0 Titans. Big win for the Rams as they host Tampa Bay on Monday Night Football next week. 9-yard line kick comes to Antonio Chapman. Up past the 30. Good run back for Chapman. Finally forced out of bounds. And a flag goes down at the end of the play. He was out of bounds and he was shoved even further out of bounds. And they're going to pick up more yardage. It's going to take the ball into Tennessee territory to begin this next drive.
That may be the thing that gets them started here, gets them fired up. I thought the Packers came in here very flat tonight.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Kicking team. Number 44. 15-yard penalty. Green Bay keeps the ball. 1st down.
Troy Fleming.
You know, at some point they have to address Ahman Green's fumbling. You know, he's a heck of a runner and he's a good pass receiver, but you know, when you fumble like this, you just lose all momentum for your offense, and conversely, you give the momentum to the other offense. He always has the ball in the left hand. People know that he's a fumbler, and they're always going after it.
Well, you rectified the problem last year as the fake is to Green, and then Favre gets chased and throws into traffic, and the pass is incomplete, chased by Kevin Carter. We were in here for a Monday night game. He had fumbled 7 times in 9 games, and John, you had pointed out that he was wearing those sleeves, and he finally took them off, and he didn't fumble the rest of the season. So what is the antidote now?
Well, he had the rubber sleeves, and it was wet. It was raining that night, remember? And the rubber sleeves were just getting wet, and the ball against the rubber sleeves was just slipping right off of it. So he took them off, and then he put these on. He's been wearing these ever since.
2nd and 10, and Carter almost got into the backfield to bust up the play, flagged down, and this is Green taking it over the 40-yard line.
You know, that's one of the things we said, how Jeff Fisher was worried about his run defense. One of the things that he did is move Kevin Carter back to left defensive end. He moved him to tackle.
Defense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
Bill Vinovich is the only new referee in the league, and every referee gets a Monday night game. This is his first. He was a side judge, was Vinovich, last year on Ed Hockley's crew. Look at Green, as we said, 7 fumbles in 9, then none, but this year in the first 5 games, 4.
And you know that ball in the left arm is just a target for every tackler.
2nd and 5. Draw to Green. I don't know, maybe it's a September-October problem, John.
Well, you know, there is a story going around. Johnny Rowland, the back coach, says that Ahman Green has asthma. And he said that, you know, as the weather gets cooler, he plays better and feels better. And you know, he has allergies and asthma and those types of things, and you know, starts to feel better. I don't know that there's anything. I don't know how you relate asthma and allergies to fumbles, but at some point that has to be addressed. It is a problem for this offense.
3rd down and 5 now. 5 minutes to go in the first quarter, dominated by Tennessee. And Favre goes deep, has a man, but can't get the ball into the arms of Robert Ferguson, who had beaten the secondary.
And I think this is the kind of offensive game that the Packers have to play from here out. You know, they did that against the Colts. You know, they knew that they were going to get into a shootout, so Brett Favre just came out throwing, and I think that's what they have to do. I mean, that he had him beat. It was just, you know, thrown about 2 steps too much, but he had 2 steps on 2 defenders.
The veteran Brian Barker, who drafted B.J. Sander in the 3rd round as a punter, but he's inactive. They signed Barker. Mason makes the fair catch, and Tennessee will take over at the 15-yard line when we come back to Green Bay with 4:48 remaining in the opening period, and Tennessee up 17-0. It's on Sunday night. From the 15-yard line, the Titans averaging 11.2 yards per play, and another flag is thrown here. Umpire threw the flag.
Ball start. Offense. Number 60. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Jacob Bell. The Packers have been playing here since 1957. The most points allowed in the first quarter, 17 against Detroit in 82 and tonight. And there's still 4:48 remaining in the first quarter.
Yeah, but right now they have to make a couple defensive plays, because if they do, and if they can stop the Titans here, they're going to get good field position.
1st and 15. Brown, boy, those holes are gigantic. 6-yard pickup here, and Brown already tonight has carried the ball for 89 yards on 7 carries.
See, and Nick Barnett, the middle linebacker, he has to get over there and make that play, and he does eventually make it, but he's too deep. You see how deep he is off the line of scrimmage, and you get that counter. He gets caught up in there, and by the time he gets over there to help with the tackle, Chris Brown has already gained 6 or 7 yards.
We talked about the absence of Grady Jackson. They're also minus Hannibal Navies, and he's a starting linebacker, and he's been having a pretty good year. 2nd down and 8 from the 17. McNair starting to slip, gets it away. It is caught by Robert Holcomb, the fullback. Yard shy of the first down. Al Harris with the tackle.
I think that's one of the things, is you can play those linebackers deep if they penetrate the second the ball is snapped, or if you have a big, stout defensive line. But if you have a line that is not big and stout, and your linebackers aren't stout, and they're off the line of scrimmage, you're giving them a cushion for the run right at the line of scrimmage.
You saw before, Chris Brown 1 out of 6 on 3rd and 1 with that straight-up running style. Let's see if they go to him here out of the eye. Holcomb is the blocking back from the 24. Brown again, and he's 1 for 7. So that's been about the only problem that Brown has had this season. 300-yard games, big game tonight, but he can't make a 3rd and 1.
Yeah, but the Packers did something different on defense that time. They were in a blitz, and they got penetration. And the Packer defense was on the Titan side of the ball. You see the penetration there, the penetration right there. They get Chris Brown before he gets squared into the line.
Baja Biamila gets the tackle. Craig Hentrick to punt it. Hentrick started his career, played a few years in the 90s with Green Bay. One of the best punters in the league. Chapman back to receive it. Nice spiral into the night sky, fielded at the 29-yard line, and he's tackled at the 30-yard line with 2:25 to go in the period. And we go to Michelle again.
Well, Al, there is a list, a waiting list for season tickets here at Lambeau Field. The total number, about 65,000 people are on that waiting list. At the top of the list is a guy by the name of Dennis Stubbe. He is from Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. And while he's here tonight with his daughter, Jennifer, courtesy of ABC Sports, he has been on the waiting list for season tickets since 1970. I spoke with him earlier. He told me he never expected to be on the list for 35 years. When he put his name on the list, he was in his early 20s, Al. More in a second.
But he's #1 at the moment as Brett Favre goes back. Going deep, and it is Driver making a great catch. He had to adjust, makes the grab, and that brings the crowd right back into the game as he beats Andre Dyson.
And I think that's what the Packers are going to have to do. They're down 17-0. It's just the first quarter. There's plenty of football left to be played, but they have to get in a shootout. If that's the way you want to play, you have to make points. Just put it in Brett Favre's hands and let him make plays like this. This guy, Brett Favre, still has the arm. He has a great arm. The wide receiver cannot outrun his throws.
Packers had gained 5 yards to that point. That's good for 47. On first down now, Favre going for 6. And it is picked off in the end zone. It is picked off by Samari Rolle, who is a perfect example, as he may have come down on the ball and had the wind taken out of him. A perfect example of what you'd call a ball hawk. Samari Rolle shaken up, but gets the pick.
I'm surprised they didn't go back to work on Andre Dyson on that other side. That was one of the plans they had, was to go deep on him early so that he'll play soft. On that play, Samari Rolle came off his guy. He's covering the outside guy. He's out here. Here's the pattern is going to be from the inside. Samari Rolle drops his guy and drops back. Brett Favre sees that his man has his man beaten, but he doesn't see Samari Rolle. You see him here? He's out here. He looks back into Brett Favre, and he comes and helps because his man was beaten. I mean, Javon Walker was wide open, but he didn't see Samari Rolle come off of his guy and get back in there and take that corner away.
Juggled it. This gives, with Rolle finally coming off the field, it gave the Packers every chance to look at the angles here and decide whether they want to challenge. But from what we can see, he makes the interception. He's juggling it, but he holds on and then may have taken the wind out of himself the same way that McNair did with that Bruce Sternum by falling on the ball.
Think about Samari Rolle. You know, he's not a big physical guy, but he's very quick and he's very smart. And that was a smart play. I mean, he could have just stayed with his guy and let Javon Walker get in behind him. He saw his guy stop, looked back at Brett Favre, and then just undercut that corner.
Well, Green Bay is going to challenge. They had so many looks at it, but we, along with you, have every look that they have, and I don't see any way you overturn this. I mean, it doesn't, unless they can see somehow the ball hitting the ground and coming loose. He doesn't have control there, but gets it there, gets his left hand under it, and then the ball becomes obscured. And again, the officials who ruled an interception have to see enough evidence to say we'll overturn this. And you never see the ball hit the grass.
No, he always has, once he gets down, he always has control of it. You don't see anywhere where the ball hits the ground. Now, again, if he has control of it, part of the football can touch the grass, and there's no problem with that as long as he doesn't lose control of it.
He was inbounds. The question, too, is if you really want to parse it, as he gets control, which is there, he's still all the way inbounds. The feet do eventually wind up out of the end zone, but I don't see anything to overturn it. You've got the field judge is Doug Rosenbaum, who's the guy who made that call. He's on top of the play. And Bill Vinovich, refereeing his 5th game as an NFL official and first on Monday night. We'll take a look.
I think when you're Mike Sherman, you're down 17-0, you just want to get something to change the pace of this game. And he got that big play to Donald Driver. He was going for the touchdown here to Javon Walker. Samari Rolle makes a great defensive play. He's just hoping against hope here, I think. I think you can't take a great defensive play like that away from a guy.
Well, yeah, you can if you see evidence that you'd made the wrong call, but he's able to cradle it and get possession of it, and I just don't see anything that would overturn this. Even though the ball is coming loose at one point, but the play winds up with him inbounds clearly and in possession of the football.
And then they're still working on Samari Rolle over there in the sideline, trying to loosen that ball out of him that he fell on the ball. You know, that's the thing they do when you get the wind knocked out of you. That's the old drill. They do that. The other thing they used to always do was, for some reason, loosen your belt and pick your pants up. I'm not
After reviewing the play,
sure why.
The ball was moving and hit the ground. The pass is incomplete.
Well, I'm a little stunned, I would say.
I'm stunned too, but you know, Mike Sherman, he took a shot and he got one there. I didn't see any of those things that old Vinovich saw.
Well, we know the ball's coming loose, but then he is securing it. It's coming loose. He goes down, he cradles it, and has possession of it before he goes out of bounds.
Right, and again, if he has control of it, keeps control of it, a part of the ball can touch the ground.
Right. And Fisher expressing, well, what every Titan fan would be thinking at the moment, and it's going to be second down now at the 23-yard line.
Fisher's probably asking Vinovich, again, Vinovich, tell me what you saw.
And he's saying, well, the ball's coming loose. He goes down, but the ball can be loose if you go down, and then you wind up with possession of it without it hitting the ground, and he cradled it, and he's not out of bounds. You tell me.
I'm behind you 100%.
I'm behind myself about 98% right now. Roll is back into the game. That's the only good news for Tennessee there. You know, I'm wondering.
And Mike Sherman saying he can't go back in.
And that's if you're injured, you have to come out. It's a technicality, but it is true.
And when you go out, you have to stay out of play.
And the fact that he did get hurt on the play may have been just enough for the coaches upstairs to say, you know, this is worth a challenge.
Oh, I'm sure it was. I mean, the fact that he was down there and we got to show so many replays and they got to look at him and look at him and look at him and say, heck, it's worth a shot here. We're down 17-0.
Second down and 10 now from the 23-yard line. Just a three-man rush, and then Favre slings it into double coverage intended for the tight end Bubba Franks, and Keith Bullock was back there covering on the play to swat it down. 3rd and 10.
They don't throw a lot to their tight end, Bubba Franks, but the closer they get to the goal line, the more they think or look at him. But you watch here, Keith Bullock, number 53, is right here on Bubba Franks. Now that is a good matchup. And you think when you can get a linebacker on your tight end that you're going to win that battle, not when that linebacker is Keith Bullock.
3rd down and 10 from the 23-yard line. Favre chased and then taken down by the shoulder, out of bounds, chased by Albert Haynesworth, who played his college ball at Tennessee and was their #1 choice in 2002. And in comes the field goal unit.
That was an impressive play by Haynesworth there. When you get a big defensive tackle that can run down a quarterback from behind, that's what they have to be able to do. If you're going to flush a guy out, then you have to be able to chase him and get him before he throws the ball. Haynesworth did that. That was a heck of an effort.
39-yard field goal attempt. Ryan Longwell, the all-time leading scorer for the Green Bay Packers, and sends that one through. So the challenge is successful. Keeps the ball away from Tennessee, keeps it in Green Bay's hands, and they cash in for 3 to make it a 14-point game. So what's in the water in Mississippi? Favre and McNair, both from the Sunflower State. McNair grew up in Mount Olive, Favre in Kill, Mississippi. And then it's Brett who matriculates at Southern Mississippi in Hattiesburg. McNair was recruited by Southern Miss, wound up at Alcorn State, and Steve was telling us last night when he goes over to Southern Mississippi and Favre is there. I mean, he meets Favre and McNair's in high school. And McNair said, you know, I didn't want to go there. Actually, I wanted to go there, but then I didn't want to go there because they wanted to make me a cornerback. And we said, well, how did you know that? And he said, well, you know, when they send the defensive coordinator to recruit you, you get a clue.
Yeah, and he said that, you know, that he liked Brett Favre so much and he followed him at Southern Miss. He said that he wanted to go there and be like him, and he didn't feel that they were going to give him the opportunity to be Brett Favre.
So that's why he winds up at Alcorn. That's a pretty good likeness.
With cheese on top.
Oh, yeah. I saw you like that last night. Here's Fleming. Up to the 19-yard line. Tackled by Ben Steele. Speaking of the two quarterbacks, here's Mike Sherman talking about Favre and McNair.
I think they both are tremendous examples to their teammates. You know, it's hard for a player, and I'm sure Jeff Fisher would say the same thing about McNair. It's hard for another player to come up to you and say, I can't practice today because I have a bad ankle, when the quarterback's out there with a broken thumb or with his own knee problems or his own disabilities, and he's practicing. So I think having a tough guy at that position makes your team tougher.
1st and 10, 20-yard line. McNair almost had his head taken off, and then the pass is incomplete. Cledius Hunt put the charge on, got his hand on the helmet, and that's what McNair is saying to Vinovich right now. Hey, man, he put his hand on my helmet.
You know what the Titans did? They went 2 tight ends, but they took the second tight end, Ben Troop, and they put him in the slot because they don't have a lot of wide receivers. They're using Troop like a third wide receiver, and on that play McNair was looking for Troop. He didn't get open, and that's why he had to hold that ball that extra split second.
2nd and 10 now with 1 minute and 2 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. Fisher through his career has gotten his teams off to great starts early, and McNair takes the timeout. Jeff Fisher really puts a premium on getting out of the gate quickly, and there it is in the history of the league. Leading after the first quarter, it's Mike Shanahan of Denver at 50%, then Greasy Neal, the old Eagle coach, and then Fisher. And of course, a lot of games are tied at the end of the first quarter, so that's not why you have 50-50 here, but that's pretty good about in half the games to have the lead. And for Fisher, a lot of emphasis is placed on early foot, as they say in horse racing.
Right. Well, he's always had a pretty good combination of a good, tough defense, a good running back for years in Eddie George, and a quarterback in Steve McNair. So when you get that lead, you know, as some coaches say, you can just kind of take the air out of the ball, slow it down, go to your running game, good offensive line, those kinds of things. And that's what Jeff Fisher has done over the years.
Second and 10. Brown picks up 3 yards. The 3rd down and 7. Chris Brown stopped by Diggs and Baja Biamila, and Brown now has 91 yards in the quarter on 9 carries.
The Packers are starting to pinch their ends now and kind of tighten down towards the middle, realize that they don't have to stay as wide, that where they need the help on the running downs is right in the middle. They need inside help in this area here. So they have to get more players and get penetration in those gaps in that area.
3rd down 7. McNair out of the shotgun. 3 wideouts. Mason comes in motion to the slot on the right. McNair drops it underneath, checking down into a 1st down. Chris Brown makes the catch, and the period will end with a 1st down by the Tennessee Titans. It's the end of the first quarter at Lambeau Field. The Tennessee Titans 17 and the Green Bay Packers 3. Just now, John, Derek Mason shaken up on that last play, and he has to come off the field.
It was one of those no contact injuries. In fact, I was watching him on that play. Steve McNair was going to go to him, and he was just running a hook pattern. And you see him right here as he starts to turn. You see he just twisted his ankle and it went out on him. He picked his leg out of the ground, and then Steve McNair came off of him and went to Chris Brown.
Second quarter begins. Al Michaels, John Madden, Michelle Tafoya, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Tennessee leading 17-3. Mason out. Eddie Berlin, no relation to Irving, comes into the game. Number 82. 1st and 10 from the 31-yard line. And the pass is caught by Eddie Berlin up to the 43-yard line. 1st down, tackled by the rookie Ahmad Carroll. Update here, rushing yards thanks to Brown, who has all 90 of the rushing yards for the Titans. Favre had that one long pass for most of the 49, and then 7-1 in the first down department. Mason's now back in the game. Biggest play for Green Bay was that challenge, that overturn on the roll interception. 1st and 10 from the 43. And that is caught. Adjusting was Drew Bennett. Drew Bennett, their number 2 wideout behind Mason, and a guy who started at 6'5" as a quarterback at UCLA before they moved him to wideout.
Well, we know that Michael Hawthorne is out, so number 28, Ahmad Carroll's in there now. So if they're going to work on someone, that's who they want to go on. And again, they do, but he plays that pretty well. And Drew Bennett just does a nice job of coming back and catching an underthrown ball.
It's got to be a Mississippi deal, John. That's the same thing Favre has done throughout his career, that underthrown comeback for a big completion.
Yeah, I think their receivers just believe in them so much that anything they throw up, they're going to go up and get.
1st and 10 now from the 29-yard line. Brown. And Brown takes it to about the 26-yard line. Picks up 2, maybe 3. And it's Nick Barnett with a stop in the middle.
You kind of feel with Chris Brown that he's all or none. That, you know, he's not going to get a lot of 4, 5, 6-yard runs. He's going to have a lot of 1, 2, 3, 50. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 60.
And that's why they felt it was time for Eddie George to go. They offered him a reduced contract and time to make Brown the main guy. And he's backed up by Antoine Smith. Now McNair swings one to the near side, caught by Mason. Stays in bounds to pick up another couple of yards and make it 1st and goal. He's out of bounds at the 8-yard line.
Now the fans ought to boo that one. That's a drop coverage. Al Harris was a corner over there.
Personal foul. Chop block. Offense. Number 77 and 84. 15-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
Justin Hartwig and Shad Meyer converged on a chop block, and that's a big break for the Packers.
That's a combination. That's the center and the tight end. Watch this. The center starts and here comes the tight end, and he comes off, and you see he comes in and makes a block just as Justin Hartwig is getting back. But the coverage here was dropped. I mean, and you're going to see Mason here is wide open. There was no one on him.
Cullen Jenkins was the victim, and so instead of 1st and goal, it's 2nd and 22. 4-man rush. The line does its job. Flag is thrown. Screen to Brown. But when the umpire throws it, you know what? 99% of the time.
Yeah, Mike Heimerdinger, the offensive coordinator of the Titans, is calling a very good, well-balanced game.
10-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
That's Hartwig again. So back-to-back infractions on the center.
There's Heimerdinger right there. But I mean, he has good balance. You know, he's getting the run, he's passing, he's getting the the screens, the draws, all those types of things. Yeah, that's a tough one right there. What he's trying to do is invite the guy up the field. Then he's trying to pass him on, let him go in the pass rush so that they can throw the screen. That is a technique that you use, that an offensive lineman to the center uses for a screen pass. That wasn't a hold as much as a technique.
It would have been 1st and goal without a penalty. Now it's 2nd and 32, and they're back in their own territory. From the Titans 49, McNair will take off, something he's doing less frequently. Early in his career, he was tremendous. He was mobile. You remember the Super Bowl drive against St. Louis where he almost got him in position to tie the game, but you get to be his age, you get to go into your 30s, and you run a little bit less.
But if you give him that gap, he's going to take it all the time. Kabir Bajamiamila, he rushes, he gets up the field, and they pin the tackle on the line of scrimmage, so you have that wide gap over here on this side. See it right here? See the end getting up the field, the tackle pinned inside, and then he can just run and just take this. It's just open for 10 yards.
3rd and 23. They've gone from what would have been first and goal to not even in field goal range. McNair tries to rectify that, and does he ever, as Berlin gets free. Underneath, makes the catch, and they can boo again. That's Ahmad Carroll, who let him get in front of him way downfield in a 1st and 10.
Oh, Ahmad Carroll gave way too much cushion. Look how far off he is, which is okay because you're protecting that first down, but you can't back up, and then turn and run the other way and let a guy like Eddie Berlin do that to you. I mean, it's tough to play out there corner in this league, but if you're going to play that far off, you have to have a better and quicker reaction. You can't play that far off and then get your shoulders turned.
30-yard gain, 1st down now from the 12-yard line. Brown runs into the back of his own man. Aaron Campman makes the tackle.
Yeah, that's Chris Brown, isn't it? I mean, he's going to get that 1, he's going to get that 0, he's going to get that 2, and then he's going to slash you on 1.
That's been his pattern. We mentioned Antoine Smith as his backup. Antoine was the guy who has played in New England the last 3 years, owns 2 Super Bowl rings. Take a look at the comparison there, 91 yards to 3 in the battle of the backs, and it's been all Brown. They even leave Brown in on 3rd down. Antoine Smith came over and he said, I'm just not a 3rd down back, and there he is. Hasn't played tonight. 2nd down and 12 from the 14-yard line. McNair flips one out here, and it's caught by the rookie for a touchdown, Troy Fleming. Troy Fleming, a rookie out of Tennessee, a 6th-round draft choice, and Jeff Fisher talking to us about him last night. He said this guy's going to get in the game and he will catch the ball. Will he ever?
And that's exactly what he does. Here you got the fullback. You get a play pass to the tailback. You get the fullback out in the flat. He gets a step on the linebacker, and McNair just puts it right on him.
First NFL touchdown for him. And Gary Anderson will try to add the extra point. Again, we mentioned it earlier. Tennessee in its 4 games had not scored more than 17 in any game. And now a little bit more than 20 minutes into this one, they've scored 24 against the suddenly very porous, and to this point, inept Packer defense. 20 before a pretty stunned crowd of 70,000. This doesn't happen very often. As we mentioned before, they were 49-7 before the Lambeau Mystique began to shred a little bit. But to watch their team down by 21 in the first half, it's been a long time. Ball fielded 5-yard line by Antonio Chapman. Packers will start the next drive from the 30-yard line with 9:21 left in the half. And the Tennessee Titans on top 24-3 at Lambeau Field. Past few seasons, 70,000 is the new capacity, but right now they're in a little bit of agony because their team doesn't look very good. They're down 24-3, and Brett Favre will try to turn it around and begins by throwing it over the middle to Javon Walker, and Walker into Tennessee territory to the 36-yard line. From the 20 to the opponent's 36, it's a 33-yard pickup.
Yeah, I was just thinking to myself with a score 24-3 that the Packers are going to have to abandon that play pass and run and just go back to drop back passing, because the Titan defense shouldn't go for the play pass. But watch this, they get an I formation, fake the run, they bite up in there. Javon Walker gets in behind him, and he's wide open in the middle.
Correcting the math, that play started at the 30-yard line. Now first down, Favre, as he loves to do, throwing off balance, going backward. Keith Bullock tackles Donald Driver, and we'll check in with Michelle.
You saw that big pass to Javon Walker. He is a guy who's ambitious this season. He wants to separate himself from the other wide receivers in this league. His hope is to be mentioned with the likes of Terrell Owens. So in the offseason, he worked out with Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens down in Arizona. Got some good advice. Best piece of advice, hey, Javon, you're not always going to be technically perfect on every execution. Go make the play anyway. And so far this season, guys, he has.
Leading the team in receptions and yardage and 4 touchdowns. 2nd down and 6. And what a catch by Donald Driver, reaching up, hauling in that fastball And a first down.
You know the funny thing about that play, I was watching Javon Walker. He didn't know it was a pass. He goes out there. Donald Driver's going to come in the slant and catch that ball. They had 4 wide receivers. Javon Walker was in the slot, and he just went down like he was blocking. Donald Driver ran the pass. And I think part of the defense thought it was a run, and the other part was playing pass.
Meantime, Driver makes a tremendous catch. The more you look at it, he caught the back of the ball. I mean, nobody throws as hard as Favre, even now. 1st and 10 at the 19-yard line. Brett, who turned 35 years old yesterday, slings it over the middle. That's caught by Chapman, and he takes it to the 1. And it's almost as if Favre himself is willing the Packers back into the game.
And I think that's what they have to do to get back into the game. They have to put it on Brett Favre's shoulders, and they know that they can do it. He knows that they can do it. The fans know that he can do it. His teammates know that he can do it, and they just have to start. I mean, you know, they have to forget about that run, forget about some of the things in their plan, and just say, okay, Brett, we got in this hole, go dig us out.
29 consecutive games in which he's thrown a touchdown pass, 3rd most in history. He has 3 tight ends here on this set. 1st and goal was 6.5 and just outside the 1-yard line. And he's going to throw it into the end zone. Wide open is Franks for the touchdown. And the Green Bay Packers in dire need of a spark, in dire need of bringing this crowd of 70,000 back. And Favre is like a pitcher who's throwing about 95 all night, and all of a sudden he's up to 100.
Watch Bubba Franks here. You see him. He fakes a block, finds a hole underneath. Everyone goes for the run fake. Bubba Franks is wide open in behind him. Watch that play fake. I mean, the thing that Brett Favre can do is he puts that ball out there when he's going to hand it off. See him put it out there? He shows it to the defense. The defense bites on it. Bubba Franks gets behind.
Longwell for the extra point on the drive. 5 of 5 for 70 yards. Looking up toward his wife. And Green Bay is back in the game. Around yesterday, looks like Brian Greasy's going to get the start. We mentioned Brett Favre looking up to his wife, Deanna. Family saluting them as they salute him in return. And Troy Fleming takes it back up to the 36-yard line. So the Packers on that quick drive, 70 yards, led by Favre, back in it, 6:20 to the half in Green Bay. Green Bay, Wisconsin, just into 6 figures in terms of population, 102. Quite a few of the 70,000 inside the city, lucky enough to be on that list for years. 1st and 10 from the 36-yard line. McNair got hit as he threw it by Nick Barnett covering on the play, covering Holcomb, but it looked like one of the Titans got in there to break the play up in the backfield. Might have been Aaron Campman.
Yeah, it was Campman. It was Campman who hit him just as he threw, and that's the thing that they have to do. They have to knock McNair down. They've been giving him too much time. They have to put the pressure on him, and somewhere defensively they have to come up with a turnover.
McNair got off to a hot start tonight. It was 17-0. 262 yards of offense for the Titans. And they give it to Bennett on an end around. And the one-time college quarterback picks up a first down as he's forced out of bounds, but not until he reaches the 48, and that's a 12-yard gain for him.
Yeah, that was a good play, because we were saying how you have to stop the inside. You have to stop everything in here, so they get everything stopped in there, and they fake in there. Then they hand an end around to Drew Bennett. So if you pack inside, what you have to do to stop that run of Chris Brown, then these types of plays will work. Although Drew Bennett, not the speediest of wide receivers in the NFL.
6'5", launch strider, 1st and 10, 48-yard line flag. McNair going deep for Mason. Harris with the coverage. Flag at the snap.
When Mike Sherman was talking last night about his defense, he said if there's one player that's playing well, it's Al Harris.
Illegal formation. Offense. 6 men on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Have to have at least 7. Here's Michelle.
Well, I'm told that footing has become an issue for 4 of the Green Bay Packers, 2 on offense, 2 on defense. Let's start with defense. Ahmad Carroll and Kabir Bajabiamila. And on offense, it's Javon Walker and Antonio Chapman. All are changing their studs or spikes on their shoes, Al and John, from 5/8 inch to 3/4 inch because of those footing problems. Al?
And that's very interesting in as much as this is their home field. It's the Titans. If anyone should be changing their shoes, it should be Tennessee.
Well, we saw Derek Mason did have that problem also.
And this is Brown, who runs into Mr. Diggs and Mr. Campman.
This is the thing we talked about earlier, that they weren't getting any penetration. They weren't playing on the Titan side of the ball, and now they're starting to get penetration. They're starting, instead of playing back, they're starting to get in here, get penetration right there, penetration right there. Nowhere for Chris Brown to run. And you see what happened? We talked about him being a straight-up runner. He always loses the battle of the shoulder pads. The defensive player will always be underneath Chris Brown's shoulder pads.
2nd down and 15 from the 42-yard line. McNair, there's a flag again. Shad Meyer, tight end. You know, coming into the game for Tennessee, what was crazy is they were actually averaging more per run than they were per pass play. Only team in the league.
Illegal hands in the face. Defense. Number 31. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Yeah, that's the big part of it. Automatic first down. You've got a 5-yard penalty, but an automatic first after they needed 15.
You know, we watch Al Harris here in press coverage. Now they try and get that jam, and they go for the shoulder pads. Now if he hits him in the shoulder pads, that is a legal play. But if that right hand goes up and hits the face, then it's an illegal blow to the face.
So from 2nd and 15, that little hands to the face job is a first down at the 48-yard line.
That happens a lot. You're aiming for the shoulder pads and hit the face man.
Fake draw. McNair deep, and it is Bennett who gets taken down by Harris. Looked like there was if that's in Tennessee, the crowd's going crazy. They're going crazy.
I think they're probably going crazy in Tennessee anyway.
Right.
That's the old rule. If you're getting beaten, you see Al Harris starts to fall, and he just tackles Drew Bennett. Holy moly.
Wow.
How they got away with that one. That's the old rule. You know, if you're beaten, if you're going down, just tackle the guy, and the ball will be there in the 10-yard line. At least it's not a touchdown. That's what Al Harris is doing. He's just trying to save a touchdown.
You've heard of the good no call. That's a horrible no call. Lambeau Ghosts, 2nd and 10. McNair gets the first down before stepping out of bounds at the 37-yard line.
Yeah, it's that same area, you know, where you get the outside rusher up the field, and then the inside rusher gets pinned inside. And you see this lane right here. Of course, when you see Nick Barnett there, he looked like he was kind of a spy. He was rushing there. He has to make that tackle when the quarterback starts to run.
1st and 10, 36-yard line. After a 16-yard run by McNair, was carried twice for 25. Browns gained 91 yards. And now Brown takes the ball inside the 30-yard line as he approaches 100 yards. 7 there for 98 on the night for the 2nd-year guy out of Colorado.
You know what they try and do? They get these linebackers pursue it, and then they cut back against them. And that's what, you know, speed linebackers will overrun a play. Watch this offensive line. They all come off here in zone, zone, zone. Look at that gap there. The linebackers just overrun the play.
2nd and 3. Brown again gets 1. 29-yard line, 3rd and short upcoming as we tick down to 3 minutes remaining in the opening half.
You know, the guys that have been getting the penetration when this Packer defense does it have been Aaron Campman on one side and Kabir Gbaja-Biamila on the other side. They haven't been getting much or any penetration from their defensive tackles. I remember in that Carolina game, remember to get penetration inside, they started bringing both linebackers up the middle. They haven't done that yet here tonight.
3rd down and 3. Tennessee has gained 297 yards, and Green Bay is going to take a timeout.
Green Bay.
First charge timeout, and we can tell you that Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 39. Michelob Amber Bock, rich and smooth. And Snickers, home of the weekliest Hungry Player Award. Bud Light Blimp, hovering high above Lambeau Field. As you look at the Packer exhibits here. You know, John, Ed Donatel was the defensive coordinator, and he was the guy who took the bullet for the 4th and 26 in the playoff game with Philadelphia last year. Now Bob Slowick has come in, but maybe it's not Donatel. Maybe the fact this team has given up 297 yards in the first half.
Yeah, and someone had to be the sacrificial lamb, and it was Ed Donatel. And you can see maybe it's not always coaching. Maybe sometimes it is the players, and the Packer defense just isn't a good group of defensive players.
It's funny the way it turned around too. As you look at Bob Slowick, who took over. Donatel now in Atlanta. Falcons 4-1.
We had a 3rd and 23 tonight that the Titans got a first down on.
Right, with a rookie corner playing too deep. And now McNair will throw, hits Mason, and that's enough for the first down. Harris was there on top of him, but they get 4 when they needed 3, and it's a first down for the Titans.
Yeah, Al Harris is the best corner on the Packers team, and Derek Mason is the best wide receiver on the Titans, so he is going to be man-to-man on him most of the night. See, here he is right here. You see him, he just jams him and then just runs and breaks right off him, and all he needed was 2 or 3 yards. Who do you think Steve McNair is looking for when he comes out on that play?
1st and 10, 25-yard line. Brown. Campman makes the tackle. It's 99 yards, 15 carries for Chris Brown. McNair coming to the bench at the 2-minute warning at Lambeau Field. Tennessee 24, Green Bay 10. Lexus halftime show coming your way. The great Tim McGraw's ode to 35 years of Monday Night Football, entitled How Bad Do You Want It? Good video. And then we'll talk about the New England Patriots, who, as you obviously know, counting playoffs, one season overlapping to the other, 19 in a row.
This is a great drive here by Tennessee, because the Packers had just gotten hot. Favre was 5 for 5, and then Tennessee takes the ball and they're not giving it back.
2nd down and 9, and now McNair to the end zone in between defenders, and Bennett couldn't hold on. He got sandwiched between Ahmad Carroll, the rookie, and Sharper.
They found Ahmad Carroll, haven't they? Someplace they're trying to find out, where is Ahmad Carroll? We are going to go to work on him. And if Sharper doesn't get over here, I don't know that it makes any difference, because, I mean, he puts that ball in there. Darren Sharper knows, if I'm going to help someone, I better get over and help Ahmad Carroll. I think Drew Bennett just dropped that ball.
Yeah, and Carroll got his left arm in there. Might have helped to this logic, but it's a catchable ball. 3rd down and 9 from the 24-yard line. Brown, that'll take him to 100 yards. It'll take him to the 20-yard line. And it will bring in the field goal unit. Timeout is taken now by Green Bay, because they're going to try to conserve the clock, knowing that the field goal is next for Tennessee.
I was surprised the Titans didn't throw one there.
Yeah. I mean, that could have been almost the kill shot to go in for a touchdown, especially after putting one in the end zone on 2nd down. So tonight it was a very, very hot start by Brown on this first drive. After a pass to Mason had converted, Mason made a nice move. This was Brown taking it to the end zone, and then back they came again. on this run by Brown, and the Tennessee Titans were up 14-0 after Ahman Green then fumbled about midway through the period, and Mike Sherman showed how angry he was. It was 24-3 Titans on the pass to the fullback Fleming. And then Frank scores. Here comes the 38-yard field goal attempt by Gary Anderson, and that is good for the all-time leading scorer. Brown now 103 yards, and the Titans answer that Green Bay quick striking drive with 3 points of their own to make it 17 again. Steve McNair tonight, 11 out of 18 for 166. As we used to say, up close and personal.
My career will be defined as my toughness. My nickname is Monk. If not for playing football, I'll be coaching. My favorite possession is my sword collection. As a kid, I was really scared of nothing. My favorite movie line is, "I'll be back." I'm out of here.
You're out, but Michelle's in. Michelle.
Well, so is another Michelle McNair, Steve's wife. She is a nurse, and I spoke with her by phone a little bit earlier today, Al, about another perspective on McNair's pain. She told me he does indeed have a high tolerance for pain, but as he gets older, he recovers just a little bit slower. She also said he never sleeps well at night because of all his pain. But the last thing she told him before he walked out the door for this trip, Al, she said, if you have to run, for goodness sake, slide. Don't take the hit, just slide. And he did so earlier on one of his only rushing attempts.
The other thing he told us last night, Michelle, is he said he has a new respect for breathing. Here's Antonio Chapman, who slips down and then gets secured at the 19-yard line.
He said before he always thought that breathing was overrated. You know, let's look at the speed on, Brett Favre's passes, because we know that, he throws the ball faster and harder than anyone. You always wonder, how fast is that ball going when he throws it? Well, here it is. That pass was 64 miles an hour, and the distance was 19.6 yards.
So they're telling us, I'm not sure who they are, but they're telling us, whoever they are, that's the equivalent of a 96-mile-an-hour baseball fastball.
Yeah, I would buy that. I mean, yeah. I would think if it were a baseball that Brett Favre would be able to throw it 96 to 100.
Injured Titan is Eddie Berlin, one of their wideouts, and that'll really hurt if he's done. Take a look at this, because remember, they're missing Tyrone Calico, who would be their number 2 guy. Mason got shaken up before, but is back in Berlin right now is their number 2 guy.
He just got knocked over by Najee Davenport. There was another kick return tonight that Najee Davenport made two big blocks.
Eddie Berlin, Northern Iowa. Every time I see Northern Iowa, you think of one guy, Kurt Warner.
Hey, and he's looking pretty good for the Giants too, isn't it? We talk about the job the Rams did yesterday against Seattle, but watching Kurt Warner and those Giants, they won 3 in a row. He's starting to look like the old Kurt Warner.
He is. Giants beating Dallas yesterday, first down and 10 now from the 19-yard line, and that is slung into the arms of a Tennessee Titan, Lamont Thompson. And Thompson brings it back inside the 20 to the 19-yard line, and there's a flag down at the end of the play.
Hey, he had Robert Ferguson out there, and he was trying to get the ball to Ferguson, and it just took off on him. Lamont Thompson is the safety, and he was just playing deep safety.
Illegal block in the back. Intercepting team. Number 97. 10-yard penalty. Tennessee keeps the ball. First down.
Carlos Hall throwing that block with 1.5 minutes to play in the half.
You see here they got the 2 deep safeties here. Just backing up, reading. He throws it to Ferguson, and the ball goes over his head and to his right, and Lamont Thompson was just sitting right there. Looks like Brett Favre was expecting Ferguson to stay outside, and he started to come inside. The only player outside was Lamont Thompson.
And Favre took a shot from Hall.
It's the old rule on interception. Go get the quarterback. He's now a defender.
McNair forced out of bounds. The Hall not only went to get him, then it was Hall who threw the illegal block to move him back, and Tennessee tries to add to a 27-point total in the first half. A magnificent first half for Fisher's team.
You know, I think the other thing that Steve McNair's wife told him was run out of bounds, because every time that he has run tonight, he's either slid, as Michelle was just talking about, or he's run out of bounds. Because that was the thing he was worried about last night. He said, my sternum feels good. I can breathe, which is always a good thing. He said, but I don't know how I'm going to take the trauma of getting hit.
And he also has that ankle issue we talked about, but that hasn't impeded him at all tonight. 2nd down and 6. And McNair going for 6 more, and that's caught out of bounds. Drew Bennett catching it out of bounds, covered by Ahmad Carroll. And here's Michelle.
Well, you were talking again about Steve McNair and all these painful things he's had to go through. Wife Michelle telling me he never sleeps well, that all through the night he's awake and then asleep in little bouts and then awake again. And it's usually her that has to end up getting up, medicating him, icing something, massaging a muscle. So neither of them getting much sleep right now, Al.
Neither are the Green Bay Packers because of him right now.
Right, he has shredded, or this Titan offense has shredded this Packer defense.
3rd down and 6. McNair under pressure and then has to sling it out of bounds. So Green Bay's defense stiffens here, but Tennessee with 310 yards in this first half.
Brett Favre just waiting to get the ball back. I think that, you know, that Tennessee drive, the one before this, really took a lot of steam out of Brett Favre and his offense, and then he came in there and tried to get it quickly, and then he throws an interception. Then the Titans get the ball back.
Now Gary Anderson will come in. Take a look at this. Again, this place opened in 57. Most points allowed in the first half, 28. Giants in 71. Vikings 31 years ago. This is a 42-yard attempt for Anderson, and it is deflected. It is blocked at the line of scrimmage, so they will not get 30 points. And Green Bay will get it back with 65 seconds and 1 timeout. Old City Stadium, the site of it right there. That's where the Packers played from 25 through 56 when Lambeau was built. Some of the games through the years, of course, have been played in Milwaukee. They did that for a number of years and then stopped it about a decade ago.
Isn't there something special about being here? I mean, just kind of the, you know, this is where it all started, and the tradition and the history of the NFL. When you come in this stadium, you just feel those things.
1st and 10. And that's dropped by Franks. You know, when you think about the Packers, John, to me what I think about is you name a city in this country, any city, and what goes with it. Green Bay, one thing and one thing only, and I can't think of another city. You know, you can say Boston, Red Sox, whatever you want to say, but there are a lot of things going on in a lot of cities. You say Green Bay, Packers.
Packers, that's it.
Period.
And then when I say Green Bay Packers, there's only one thing that I think of, or the next thing that I think of is Vince Lombardi.
2nd down and 10 from the 33-yard line. Favre throws deep, and that is Walker not making the catch inbounds. Both officials came over, each of them from a different angle, and said no.
Would have been a great play in Canada.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was still some catch by Javon Walker. That's the thing that Mike Sherman was talking about him last night, that they liked when they took him in the draft. He said he could torque his body. I think that's exactly what he did to catch that one. He can, you know, get up and torque and make turns to get his hands on a misdirected throw.
Good play in Canada, good play in college. 1 foot in. 3rd and 10, far from the gun. Goes on the run as he gets just about, he got to the line of scrimmage, and Green is about 3 yards short. And now Samari Rolle calls for a timeout, figuring that Green Bay is going to have to punt. So Tennessee takes a timeout. And it's 4th down. Speaking of Green Bay, John, I'm so proud of you, because I mean, how many non-Packers come into Green Bay. Fuzzy Thurston is there. The old Packers, Willie Wood and Paul Hornung, Jerry Kramer, and then you are there as well.
It's my great honor and pleasure
Friday
to welcome you into the Lombardi Legends, John Madden.
Now, how does an Oakland Raider wind up in the Lombardi Legends Hall of Fame?
Well, you know, I don't belong there, and that was one of the first things I said, that I don't, you know, I'm humble enough to know that I'm not a Lombardi legend. I wish that I had coached somewhere with Vince Lombardi, played for Vince Lombardi, but I didn't. I'm just an admirer, and that was, you know, such a big thing for me to be in this group because of what it means. You know, I mean, Vince Lombardi was my idol. When I was a coach, and you know, you have to have someone that you want to be like. That guy was Vince Lombardi. I studied everything he did. I went to, you know, any place he spoke.
Now the Packers going for it on 4th and 2, and that was a little risky, but down by 17. They had to. Tennessee had taken that timeout. Had they not converted, Tennessee would have been close to field goal range. Driver makes the catch.
And they got him spread out here, and Donald Driver is the inside receiver. And you're going to see him come out. Now, he knows it. He only has to pick up 2 or 3 yards, so he runs a 3-yard short out. Brett Favre, I think, you know, he'll say that he doesn't, but I think he lives for these kinds of situations.
11-yard gain. That pass caught by Donald Driver, 44-yard line. Favre trying to get it up to the line of scrimmage because Green Bay has one timeout and he wants to save it. And he throws over the middle, and Driver makes the catch, and they're in field goal range, but there is a flag. And Driver is out of bounds at the 15. There's a flag at the 46-yard line, which is 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, maybe for,
you know, and it's over there in that left side. What I think it is, Al, the receivers coming back were getting back there late, and I bet they weren't back and set before the ball was snapped. Because I darn near yelled, you know, get back, get back. They were walking back. There were 2 receivers on the far side walking slowly back.
Well, you know, the penalty's on Green Bay. So far reacting to the explanation.
Again, he went up there with no huddle, so I'm sure that's what it was, an illegal formation. I'm sure that those receivers on that far left side weren't set.
If it's a false start, this may be what they're talking about, and the play should have been whistled dead at the inception of the play, which would put time back on the clock. But if it's an illegal shift or illegal motion or illegal formation, that's a different story.
I think you're right, because they are looking at the clock. They have a clock on the scoreboard, and they also keep the time on the field.
In the last minute, with the clock running, and the illegal shift turns into a false start with a 10-second runoff. Green Bay has elected to take their 3rd and final timeout. Please reset the clock to 23 seconds. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
That's a pretty good explanation of that. That's why in the final minute things change, but still it depends exactly what the penalty is as to how much the clock moves or doesn't move.
See, that's where I didn't think they were set. You see him moving. He wasn't set. He was moving back. The flanker, the outside receiver, was trying to get back. You see him on the top of the screen right here? He's moving back as the ball says. He has to get back and then be set for a second. As you said, that rule is they would run off 10 seconds, but Green Bay had a timeout, so they could use that timeout in lieu of the 10-second runoff.
Exactly. The timeout precludes the runoff. So the clock going down another 10 seconds. They have to take their timeout there. Now to get ready to set up a field goal situation. They don't have a timeout to do that. So here's where the sideline becomes your friend. 2nd down and 11. Certainly on the next play, though, from the 49-yard line. Favre over the middle. That's caught for a 1st down, 35-yard line. Now Favre wants to get him up and spike the ball here. That's Antonio Chapman. They get set. He spikes it here with 11 seconds. But there's a flag, and this may have something to do with them not getting set again. This time it's the right side.
There's no foul on the play. All the offensive players got back across the line of scrimmage and set. First down.
False start by the officials.
Well, Vinovich has his hands full here tonight, doesn't he?
I would
his first
say.
Monday night game.
I would say, yep.
Here's one now. Do you try the field goal with no timeouts, or do you take one more shot? See what they're doing. Donald Driver is the last guy back.
Well, you have to take a shot to the sideline.
Yeah, if you're going to throw the ball, you have to throw it to the sideline now, because you're not going to be able to complete it in the middle, get up and spike it again.
Or the end zone. To the sideline. Oh, and it's almost intercepted there by Andre Dyson. So now a field goal attempt will be about 52 yards. Longwell has booted a number of 50-pluses through his career, and that's what they're reduced to.
One thing about these Tennessee Titan corners, they will guess and they will jump a play. That's why somewhere in this game you're going to have to double move them. Watch Dyson here. He waits, he sees it, and see, he takes the interception angle rather than the tackling angle.
53-yard attempt. Fairly still night. Wind not much of a factor, if any. And Longwell's kick is good. Still 2 ticks left on the clock. At least that gives the crowd something to cheer about prior to halftime. 53-yarder by the all-time leading scorer in the history of the Green Bay Packers.
Someone just pushed the oomph button at the end there to get that one over.
He and Chris Jackie share the Packer record longest field goal at 54 yards. That one was dead center.
Yeah, one thing, the Packers are hanging in there, though, and I think they're going to, we can see that the last couple drives, it's about Brett Favre, and it's the old Packer offense, and I think we're going to see that more in the second half.
That's what you'll see on the Lexus halftime.
The line drive and let those guys in the middle in the wedge here kind of fumble it around and take that 2 seconds off the clock.
No home run throwback. Numbers are pretty even, but in the ground game, Browns gained 103 yards, and Green has gained 3 yards. And Green Bay was on its way to becoming a running team. Not tonight. Holcomb, end of the half. But what a half of the Tennessee Titans in a critical game for both teams at halftime. Tennessee 27. Green Bay 13. Lexus halftime show coming up next when we come back after this message from the National Football League and a word from our ABC stations. Team 310 yards of offense. Again, somebody's going to be 2-3 and feeling a lot better, and somebody's going to be 1-4 and in deep trouble when this one's over. Right now it's the Green Bay Packers in that hole, down by 14, but they will get the football as we begin the second half. Craig Hentrick puts it in the air. 14-yard line. Chapman's going to give the ball to Robert Ferguson, and then Ferguson, after dropping it, and that cost him a few yards, brings it up to the 32-yard line. First half numbers coming up right now for you. 310 to 161, almost 2-1 in that area. Look at those rushing yards. And again, it's Amon Green with 3 yards for Green Bay. Brown 103 yards. Well, John, it's fall foliage, so the leaves going from brown to brown from green, and that's the way they went in the first half tonight.
And I don't know that there's going to be a lot of Amon Green this second half. I think they want to, just run enough so that they can play action pass, but that's not the way they're going to get back into this game. Again, as I said at the end of the first half, if the Packers are going to get back in it, it's going to be on the shoulders of Brett Favre.
4 years since he had a first half like that. They start with him here. There's no gain. 2nd and 10.
When we talked to Jeff Fisher, he said the thing that he really emphasized this week was his run defense, and his run defense has played very well so far.
Last week they were shredded by LaDainian Tomlinson. Favre throws. Driver makes the catch. Gets forced out of bounds right at the marker by Dyson, close to a first. Here's Michelle.
I spoke to Mike Sherman at halftime, Al. He said as far as his defense goes, he needs them to tackle better. He thought there was some improvement in the second quarter, but he wants his safeties to come up and make plays as well. As for Jeff Fisher, the headline is more scoring. They will not sit on a lead. He said, not with Brett Favre at quarterback. We will continue to score. Al?
Yeah, he told us last night, he said, I never sit on a lead. 1st and 10 from the 42-yard line. Here's Green. You know, John Michelle talked about Sherman upset about tackling. I mean, that just seems to be almost epidemic in the NFL right now. What's the problem?
I think part of it is the players don't come in and they're not as well trained as they used to be. They don't get, you know, spring practice in football anymore. High school, then they get into pros and they're so afraid to practice in pads anymore that everyone is just standing up and bumping everyone, and then you go to a game and live tackling breaks out and you're not ready for it. I mean, he's right. I mean, these two safeties, the Packers, have tackled terribly in this first half.
Pass goes out to the fullback Henderson. He comes up about 4 yards short of a first down. Tackled there by Andre Woolfolk.
You know, any long run, you have to go through 3 layers. You have to go through a layer of defensive linemen, then the second layer are linebackers, and then the last layer are the secondary. And when you run all the way for a touchdown, those two safeties have to make those plays.
3rd down and 4. Opening drive. Second half. Favre with 4 wides, and that's picked off. It is intercepted by Tank Williams. Tank Williams has the ball at the 45-yard line of Green Bay and hands it over to Steve McNair right there.
And that was what we showed in the first half too. The safety just sitting back there. He's not playing man-to-man. He's just playing a zone. He's sitting there. He's reading the quarterback, watching his eyes, and just watch him throw the ball. You see, he comes back here, and the two safeties are right deep here, and you just see Tank Williams. He just watched Brett Favre. He saw him throw the ball, and he got a jump on it. See, Brett Favre tried to look him off, tried to pump him off, but Tank Williams just got a jump. He sat back there. He didn't go for either pump and took the jump.
Second pick off Favre tonight. Brown. Frankly, there should have been a third because they overturned what would have been another Favre pick. Favre and Walker, take a look at when they just came off the field a moment ago.
Well, see, he was expecting him to go in. He's telling him that you have to keep going and you have to keep going across. You can't pull up. And he kind of gave that angle where Tank Williams could get inside.
On 2nd and 5. And getting right into the face of McNair is Kabir Bajab-Biamila to plant him. After the handoff, after the play action didn't fool KGB.
And no one
and then a flag comes down at the end of the play right now.
Attention Browning. Offense. Number 9. Spot foul. Lost him down. 3rd down.
See, and that was the one I think that Steve McNair was worried about last night. You know, can he take this hit? And he's not going to get any more hit than this when you have a defensive lineman coming free and getting you squarely like Kabir Bajab-Biamila gets him here. You see, no one blocks him. They're trying to run a bootleg to that side. I guess they were trying to get Kabir to run down the line of scrimmage. He didn't. He went up the field, and he was right in McNair's face. McNair had no one to throw to, didn't want to take the sack, so he just threw it away.
And gets called for grounding to make it 3rd down and 15.
I don't know, of all the Green Bay Packer defensive players, how you could not block Kabir Bajab-Biamila, I'm not sure. Wouldn't you expect here that they'd go back to work on Ahmad Carroll?
The rookie cornerback. 3rd and 15. Corners playing press coverage there. McNair stepping up. Looking for the sideline. Also looking for the first down and falls down at the 43-yard line. So he comes up about 8 yards shy of the first down.
I think they were trying to go to Ahmad Carroll's side, and he got some pressure, and he had to run. And I think he listened to what his wife said. But you see Carroll here, Blinn gets by him right now, and then he goes to make that cut, and there's nothing there. He falls down. That's where McNair wanted to go, and he had to put the ball down. He kind of got caught there between trying to get out of bounds and get in a slide.
Craig Hentrick, second punt. Chapman is back at the 10-yard line. Fair caught, 16-yard line. Green Bay has its second possession of the second half right there. 10:52 remaining in the third quarter. Brett Favre turning 35. And Brett Favre now begins this drive from the 16-yard line. He's 13 of 24 for 171 yards and the 2 interceptions. And that is a third pick. Lamont Thompson, his second. And so Brett Favre, who was picked off on his last pass, gets picked off on this one. And again, Walker was the intended receiver.
You know, and that was an audible there. What he did is he sees 8 men up, but he didn't know that he had a double over there, and Lamont Thompson is just waiting over there on Javon Walker's side, because they had a double. They had 8 men up, but they still doubled that side. So when he saw that safety come down, he expected to have man-to-man coverage out there. And when you get man-to-man coverage, the guy that he wants to go to is Javon Walker.
Professor Sherman trying to figure it out. Like a teacher when he was in his 20s. And that professorial look, but also a very frustrated look as Chris Brown takes it to the 29-yard line. And 3 interceptions, and in our mind, they were lucky not to have another one on that overturn, which we felt should have gone the other way.
I think they trapped Brett Favre into that one, because that wasn't the play call from the sideline. That was an audible. And again, he saw something, and then I think they trapped him into thinking that he had man-to-man coverage, and the safety got over there.
That's pretty good when you can trap Brett Favre.
Yeah, they did.
In Lambeau, second down and 5, 29-yard line. Here's Brown stepping out of a tackle, breaking a tackle. And finally, Sharper forces him out of bounds. Holcomb and Olsen led the way. That's a 15-yard pickup for Brown, who now has 128 yards, 19 carries.
They had 8 men up there. Look at this. I mean, they're all packed up here. Here's where they're going to run. They pull the right guard, Benji Olsen, to get an extra blocker over on that side. And then they just power it and lead through. But the 2 linebackers, I mean, Nick Barnett has to make a play. He runs into his own guy, and if you're the middle linebacker and they're running, you have to make that play.
From the 13 on first down. Brown again, and Brown able to get through that hole behind Holcomb, takes it to the 10-yard line. Jeff Fisher, a guy who's had tremendous success on the road. As you can see, his numbers fairly similar, home and road, for a guy who took over on an interim basis in 1994 when they were the Houston Oilers.
I have never heard this stadium as quiet as they are tonight, or as quiet as they are right now.
Amen. It's weird. From the 10-yard line. Brown trips as he got started, got tangled with McNair. And you know, we talked about it earlier, John, when you walked in tonight, we've been here so many times, it just didn't, they were quieter than I've ever heard them when we came to the
right. And you can say, well, right now the score is 27-13, but they were quiet or flat before the score was 27-13. And maybe it's the fact that, you know, the Lambeau mystique isn't here anymore. Maybe it's the fact that the Packers have lost 3 in a row.
And 2 of them right here.
But I'll tell you, when I was at practice on Saturday, and Brett Favre wasn't there on Saturday, I'll say that, but the Packer practice was very, very flat.
Brett not there attending the service for his brother-in-law as McNair throws into the corner of the end end zone, and it's caught for a touchdown. It is Eddie Berlin making the catch, and Amon Carroll said no way. And Green Bay right now, the one thing they want is to see a replay to determine whether this is something they'd like to challenge.
You know, this is one of these things that you have scramble rules. You watch Eddie Berlin here, and when you know you have a quarterback in Steve McNair, you stay alive all the time. No matter what he's doing, you keep working. Eddie Berlin starts up, he starts to go back, and then he falls down. He gets up again because he knows that Steve McNair can make plays with his feet, and he made one there.
Close enough, and with the way the game is going right now, I would use a challenge if I'm Sherman here. They need to look at this to see, and there is the challenge, and you might as well, otherwise it's going to be a 3-touchdown game.
Well, the way their defense is playing, even if they win the challenge, it's probably going to be a 3-touchdown game. I mean, they find a guy out here, Amon Carroll, and he just can't get the job done.
You know,
I mean, they're going to work on him with whomever.
All right, take a look at his left foot here before the ball gets there.
On the field of a touchdown.
His left foot appears to be out of bounds before he works his way back in. It's very close. I mean, it's from this angle. Is he out of bounds? And then he worked his way back in. They'll look at it, and we'll come back in a minute. This is as close as it ever gets. We'll take a look. Does his foot go out of bounds? If it did, you can come back onto the field, but you can't be the first man to touch the ball. So watch his left foot. Is it out or is it not out? We have 3 different angles, and it's very difficult to tell. But if it did touch the chalk and he comes back into the field of play, he can't be the first to touch it.
The receiver caught the ball, had 2 feet inbounds, ruling on the field stands, touchdown.
Moot point. So they had to rule. The ruling there had to be feet in bounds, because if you're out of bounds without the ball and then come back in, you can't be the first to touch it. Touchdown, Tennessee.
Well, he ruled that foot didn't touch. Watch Eddie Berlin here. They're saying that left foot right there didn't touch the line. That's about as close as you can get.
It is. You see no green between his foot and the stripe.
But the way the Titan offense is playing and the Packer defense is playing, I think it was just academic anyway, because if they overruled it, I just feel that the Titans would go score anyway.
Yeah, they were at the 11-yard line. McNair's second touchdown pass of the night. Anderson now for the point after. And following the interception thrown by Favre, one of 3 tonight, Titans move in, go up in this one at Lambeau 34-13. John Gruden coming to town. Looks like Brian Griese gets the start at quarterback. That's next Monday night. Bucks, Rams. Antonio Chapman from the 4-yard line. Out of bounds at the 24-yard line, and Favre goes to work again. And what a mountain this is. Nearly unprecedented in his career here with the Green Bay Packers. At home, down by 3 touchdowns. Trump on the biggest event in 10,000 years on DVD tomorrow. John, I know that warms the cockles of your heart, as Amon Green does to the crowd here, at least for the moment, for a gain of 13.
What, watching sauerkraut being made?
Remember? Yep. Watching sauerkraut being made, going on the bratwurst.
Yep, little mustard, you can't beat that.
Astros beat the Braves. It's over in the division series in Atlanta. Houston wins 12-2. Astros, of course, came into the National League in 1962. It's the first time they've won a postseason series as they get ready now to meet St. Louis. This is Henderson to the 40-yard line. About 4 yards on the pickup there.
You know, Jeff Fisher was concerned about his defense coming in here and the tackling and all those types of things. And I think his 2 safeties, Tank Williams and Lamont Thompson, have played an excellent game. I mean, they've been up there as the 8-man up. They've been up there, you know, helping against the run. And then on passing downs, they're just sitting back there too deep, reading Brett Favre, and the 2 of them have 3 interceptions.
Favre puts it on his hip and then slings it to the outside. You know, John, you said to Mike Sherman yesterday, what are you going to have to do in this game? He said, we need to create more turnovers. They've had none. We need to avoid turnovers. They've had 4. We have to play at a fever pitch. They haven't. We've been hesitant, and we've made too many mental mistakes, and they have.
Yeah, and they're still doing those things, and they're still playing hesitant. And I think that, you know, that's a confidence thing, and you know, they lose 3 in a row, and when you do, you also lose confidence. But Tennessee did too. I mean, someone has to come out of it and turn it around. The Titans have.
On 3rd and 6, Favre has a man out in front. That's Walker. Back to the middle of the field he goes. He's inside the 10, and he's taken down at the 3. And that is exactly what they needed at that moment to try to get back in it. 57 yards and 1st and goal.
Right, and they catch him on a safety blitz. Now, you know this, when you blitz that safety, that you're going to be man-to-man out here. And you know, when Brett Favre sees man-to-man, knowing that there's no safety there, he's going to look for Javon Walker going deep, and that's exactly what they did. Brett Favre feels or sees that strong safety come up. He knows he has a blitz. He knows he has man-to-man out there, and he goes to Javon Walker.
Tank Williams was the blitzer. Now Favre will throw, and that is not caught. Intended for the fullback, William Henderson. 2nd down and goal.
You look at Jeff Fisher, and you wonder, you really had him under control, keeping those 2 safeties back there deep. They had 3 interceptions. Why do you have to bring the safety up in a blitz? Because, you know, Brett Favre, anytime you give him man-to-man, no matter how many interceptions he's going to keep throwing the ball. He's not going to stop throwing.
Field time by Williams. 2nd down and goal. Green can't get past the line of scrimmage. The former Packer Scott McCarahan makes the tackle. 3rd down and goal.
Scott McCarahan makes a good play on that. They bring him in as an extra safety. You see him right here. He's going to come all the way across and make that play. You see, he comes there, finds a hole where he can make penetration, takes that hole, and gets in the Packer backfield. They had 3 running backs in there, so what the Titans did is they put an extra safety in.
Ainsworth out. 3rd down and goal. Green is offset in the backfield. Everybody else wide. And Favre to the back of the end zone and too high for Bubba Frank. So it's 4th down and goal. So they had all this momentum. They go 57 yards. Well, Longwell started to come out onto the field. When the field goal kicker starts to come out and you're down by 21, that's why you had the booing.
Right, and the fans start to boo, and then Longwell comes back on. Or back to the sideline, I mean, and they're going to go for it on 4th down.
You know, it's amazing they're going to go for it. In his illustrious career, Favre has thrown only 2 touchdown passes on 4th down. One was last week when he came back into the game with a concussion. Will he get another one here?
Right, and 4th and 4 on the goal line is a passing down.
Under pressure, steps up, throws. 2 guys are there, but 2 Titans are there, and it's incomplete. Walker and Franks were in the same neighborhood. Not a good sign.
No, that's always bad. Anytime you get two receivers in the same area, someone made a mistake. And you saw the 2 of them talking about it.
From 1st and goal to turning it back to Tennessee. 34-13. So the Green Bay Packers with a golden chance to make it a 14-point game on 1st and goal. Still now a 21-point game. 5:05 left, 3rd quarter. And the Titans have it at their own 4-yard line. And Brown takes a pop right there. Mark Roman, along with his friends and countrymen, knock him down at the 5-yard line. Take a look at this. In the 2 games here this season, Thomas Jones of the Bears, 152. Tiki Barber, 2 big runs last week on his way to 182. 150 plus. First season, 2 guys against the Packers at Lambeau doing that, and Brown is on his way.
So what you're telling me is if you're a running back in the NFL, you want to come here and play the Packers?
You definitely want to come here. At least at the moment you do. 2nd down and 9 from the 5-yard line. And the stop is made here by Cledius Hunt. I mean, can it be that Grady Jackson is that important?
I think so, as a run stuffer, because they don't have anyone like Grady Jackson at all. I mean, the biggest guy they have right there play in the middle now is Cledius Hunt, and he's really not a big old run stopper. I mean, he was more of a 3-technique guy that played in the outside shoulder of the guard, and he's kind of been forced in there at the nose tackle. And losing Grady Jackson is one thing, but not having another guy like Grady Jackson is, I think, the biggest problem for the Packers now.
And for a bunch of years, of course, they had Gilbert Brown as the guy in the middle. Packers for a moment were hopeful that they were going to get a fumble, but the whistle was blown. 3rd down and 9.
And now they need a pass rush.
They give it to Brown on a draw and a 1st down to the 19-yard line. Tackled there by Roman. That's a big 14-yard gain and 146 on the night for Mr. Brown.
Did you see the size of that hole? Just watch this. I mean, here's the guy that has to make the play, and they just take the center and they just go out at him. Now both tackles can't work to the outside. I mean, one tackle has to take the inside, but when you have both tackles working to the outside and you open up a hole like that, no matter who the linebacker is, Ray Nitschke couldn't have made a play on that one. But anytime you do that on a pass rush, you always keep one tackle goes inside and one can go out, but both of them can't go outside.
You know, years ago, it used to be, you could drive a Mack truck through it. You could have driven a fleet through that hole. 1st and 10.
Of Mack trucks?
Of you name it. Of Madden cruisers. He fumbles, but right there is Chad Meyer. Chad Meyer recovers to keep possession for Tennessee.
That was a heck of a call. I mean, that play before when they got the 1st down, I mean, it was just like they knew exactly what the Packer defense was going to do. The Packer defense did it, and the Titans took advantage of it.
Mike Heimerdinger, who calls the plays for Tennessee. His offense has rung up 375 tonight, and now 151 on the ground for Brown. McNair caught on the outside. Harris will stop Mason there. Under 2 minutes to play now. 3rd quarter.
Now, one of the things that the Titans had to come in here, and their offensive line really had to do a good job tonight. One is to get some running game going, and they did that. I mean, they get on their guys, they stay on their guys. Part of it is real good blocking. Part of it is poor tackling by the Packers. But look at those holes. Look at that missed tackle. That's where the safety has to make the tackle. But this front group of the Titans has really dominated the line of scrimmage tonight.
Among those guys, Jacob Bell, the rookie 4th-round pick out of Miami of Ohio. With Zach Pillar now on injured reserve. Darren Sharper comes up to make the stick on Brown. And Brown, by losing yardage there, is now under 150 again. He's back to 149.
Well, you know, that's what they had to do earlier. I mean, they've been doing it here in the 2nd half. They had Mark Roman, the other safety, up a couple times, and taking that middle. That time they brought Darren Sharper up. I mean, those safeties, if they're going to bring them up, they have to get penetration and make plays at the line of scrimmage.
2nd down and 12. Tennessee doing some clock milking here at the end of the 3rd. This is a running play. It'll be the final play of the 3rd quarter for sure. Said McNair's going to go to the air. Might be anyway. Brown takes it up to the 39-yard line, and that will be the final play of the 3rd quarter. So in the period, Tennessee with 7 points and Green Bay with none. And the 2-touchdown halftime lead is now a 3-touchdown lead as the 3rd quarter concludes with the Tennessee Titans leading the Green Bay Packers 30. Vince Lombardi before, and there it is, and there are you up on a graphic. Highest winning percentage on the road when leading going into the 4th quarter. Lombardi 38-1-1. My man John 34-1-4. And tonight Fisher can tie Lombardi. Jeff Fisher has lost only 1 game on the road in his head coaching career, where he had the lead in the 4th quarter, and tonight he has a 21-point lead. And Steve McNair on 3rd down and short to open the period is incomplete, intended for Eddie Berlin.
I know that Jeff Fisher says that he just keeps going after it. I know what Vince Lombardi did. He would just run the ball at you, and that's kind of what I did too. When I'd get ahead, I'd just fold my arms and keep running the fullback in there. I had a great offensive line and say, okay, we've worn you down now. There's no way you're going to stop us. Jeff Fisher has Steve McNair, though. I mean, I don't think one time he had Eddie George, and Eddie George would do a big part of that fourth quarter play, but I think he still gives a little of it to Steve McNair.
Entrance kick. It bounces and it's picked up, and the question is, did it touch him? Darrell Hill for the moment is going to take it into the end zone, but the ball,
the official blew it dead, but he's pointing it that way. In other words, he's saying it's Tennessee's ball.
Right, it was a muffed punt.
Then the ball's dead about the 23-yard line, but it's Tennessee's ball.
This is a muffed punt and not a fumble. And what it means is you can recover it, but you cannot advance it. It's different than a fumble. And so they get the ball. He didn't call for a fair catch. He's in trouble. He's losing his balance, is Chadman.
Right, he was trying to get out of the way so the ball didn't touch him, but then once the ball touched him, as you said, that was a muff, and then you can't advance the muff. You just recover it right there. So it's Tennessee's ball right where they first touched it.
So it's first down and 10 at the 22-yard line. 13 seconds into the fourth quarter. On a night that these fans will probably want to forget in a hurry unless Green Bay can effect some miraculous comeback, but they've given no indication of that tonight. They've had no ground game, 4 turnovers, everything bad for Green Bay and good for Tennessee.
We showed the speed on Brett Favre, but Steve McNair has some speed too. Watch how he comes out here and runs, and when he sees Eddie Berlin, he really puts it on him. 62 miles an hour on the run. Now that is something.
2nd and 8.
2 big, strong-armed quarterbacks. Oops.
Brad Hopkins. Yeah.
Ball start.
Yeah, he's really a good player.
Oh, yeah.
5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
I mean, Brad Hopkins is one of the best tackles in football. And I was talking to Jeff Fisher last night. We were talking about what you do with Bajabiamila. Do you double him? And he said, nah. I said, I think old Hoppy can kind of handle his own over there. I said, we don't usually give him much help. And that's what you do with the great left tackles that don't get a lot of help.
He's a guy who will get some Hall of Fame consideration. He's played for 12 years. He was a #1 pick. He's been to a couple of Pro Bowls, 2nd and 13. Little toss back, and Bennett, the old college quarterback, throws, and it is a touchdown to Derek Mason. Drew Bennett at 6'5", who started his career at UCLA as a quarterback before switching over, a 26-yarder for a touchdown.
And again, you can throw the ball twice, but the first one has to be a lateral. You see, he comes back, he throws a lateral out to Drew Bennett. Drew Bennett starts like he's going to run and then stops and throws it. Again, this can't be 2 forward passes. You see, it's a lateral there. Drew Bennett, as you say, the old UCLA quarterback, throws a perfect pass to Derek Mason. Coaches love that when they look at Jeff Fisher is so proud of himself. When you call something like that and it works, it gives you a good feeling.
Fisher set a world record there for best vertical leap for a 46-year-old. Now that's something new. I mean, that's kind of like stop the presses at Lambeau Field with 13:42 remaining in the fourth quarter. Ferguson. Does a lot of running, and flag comes down at the end, so the penalty should tack on a few as he brings it back to the 24-yard line.
We talked about this before, how strange the whole night felt. That it didn't seem like the crowd was into it before the game. It didn't seem like the Packers were early in the game.
5-yard face mask. Kicking team number 82. 5-yard penalty. Green Bay keeps the ball. First down. Timeout.
Had this feeling from the very beginning. ESPN Sports Center follows the game. That is not a typo. 41-13 Tennessee at Lambeau Field. 1st and 10, 30-yard line. Favre to Green. Flag is down.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 92, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Haynesworth.
Haynesworth is one of those guys that's been doing a good job inside for this Titan defense tonight. You know, we talked about how earlier it was Haynesworth and Kevin Carter was playing tackle this year, and for tonight's game they moved Kevin Carter back out to end and kind of left Haynesworth in there to take care of the middle, and he's done a very good job, although the Packers haven't gotten anything going at all tonight.
Favre wide open. He hits Donald Driver. Driver to the 30-yard line, and they're going to call it a fumble. There is no whistle, and it's run back by Tank Williams. And the Green Bay Packers have just given up the ball for the 5th time.
I'll tell you, these two safeties, again, for the Titans are really playing well. I think you're going to see Lamont Thompson, number 28. He's going to take the ball out of Donald Driver's hand. So he's going to come up, and he's going to take it right there. You see, he grabs that right arm and rips it up. Then the other safety, Tank Williams, picks it up and runs with it. Those guys have been around the ball making big plays all night.
So 5 turnovers, plus they gave the ball up on the muffed punt. That counts. 6 times. 6 times have they given the ball to Tennessee.
One of those things that everything that can go wrong for the Packers is going to go wrong, and part of that is the Packers, and another part of that is the Titans are playing very, very well tonight.
1st and 10, 42-yard line. Brown. You should really hand it to Jeff Fisher. He's able to Antoine Smith comes in. You really have to hand it to Jeff Fisher for getting his team prepared for a game that they really had to win. There's Lamont Thompson.
Right. Those two safeties, these are just some of the plays the two safeties make. You just see us just sitting back there and too deep. You see again just sitting back there reading Brett Favre, not going for the pump, getting the jump on it. That was Tank Williams. You see Lamont Thompson here getting over there. You know, that's the one they kind of trapped him into. And then that last play, it's Lamont Thompson who makes a strip. Tank Williams picks it up.
Antoine Smith again started his career with the Bills, then to New England. Played his college ball at Houston. You know, we're talking about Fisher. 46 years old. 10 years he's been the coach of this franchise, starting in Houston. Only Bill Cowher would have tenure over him. And here he is, a guy who's taken his team to the Super Bowl, has taken them to a couple of championship games, is still a very young man. And he was actually eyed by a lot of teams as a guy who was going to be a head coach, and sooner than later. Played under Buddy Ryan in Chicago. 3rd and 9. Smith again. And John, I'll never forget, he was the defensive coordinator when he was 33 years old under John Robinson for the Rams one year. And Robbie was going to go, and John Shaw, the president of the team, told me one day, he said, you know what, I want Fisher to be the coach, but I can't go to Georgia Frontiere and tell her a 33-year-old guy should be the head coach. I wish he was like 37. I could probably pull it off, but I can't at 33. Benji Olsen.
Al Davis did it once.
Yes, he did.
Only Lowe's has the entire line of.
Benji Olsen is up and walking off for the Tennessee Titans. Replay coming.
Here's Benji Olsen right there. He's the right guard. You see him come off one block and looked like he did a pirouette And as he was doing the pirouette, his foot got caught. And big old guards don't do pirouettes most of the time.
Craig Hentrich. One-time Packer. Floats it, bouncing at the 7. How beautiful is that against your former ball club? Green Bay backed up to just outside the 2 with 10:43 remaining in the fourth quarter. And the Tennessee Titans trying to snap a 3. Brett Favre's had better nights and days. Well, if we can pull that one off, that would be one for all time. Down by 4 touchdowns. Driver makes the catch and steps out of bounds.
You know, there's no indication that they're going to. If you look at how they've had 5 possessions this second half, and the way they ended was interception, interception, on downs, muff punt, and a fumble.
Yes.
That explains it all. We haven't seen a lot of that tonight, where Kevin Berry comes in. He's the extra tackle who plays the tight end position, playing right here. And again, that's a running thing or an extra pass protector. And this hasn't been a running game for the Packers tonight.
2nd and 2. Green, who until that moment, and he is down, at least that's not a fumble. He had gained 16 yards all night and gets 18 here.
Well, when they brought Kevin Berry in and put him at tight end, they were kind of telling you, we're going to run, and we're going to run to the right, and that's exactly what they did. See, Kevin Berry comes over here. They have that power over there, and that's right where Ahman Green runs. See, this is where he really gets in trouble holding that ball in the left hand, because you get the pursuit coming across you, and the pursuit is coming into the ball.
They've tried a lot of different things, as you, I'm sure, would surmise. He is left-handed. Throws left. Dolph's left. Here's Michelle.
Well, you guys were talking about Jeff Fisher and the job that he did this week. One of the situations he took care of right away was when some of the veterans were calling out the rookies. You know, there are 12 rookies on this active roster. And after 3 losses, those veterans were getting on the rookies. Early in the week, Jeff Fisher called a meeting of the rookies and reminded them, hey, every single one of these veterans was once a rookie too. I want you to continue to have fun. We do have a job to do, but I still want you to enjoy yourselves. And from all reports, there have been no rifts in the locker rooms, and the rookies have stepped up tonight, Al.
And they're enjoying themselves tonight, as that pass is caught by Javon Walker. And just to finish up what we were talking about before, in case you couldn't follow it, I was talking about Fisher. John Shaw wanted to recommend him as the coach of the Rams at 33, but felt he was too young for Georgia Frontiere, so they hired Chuck Knox. That's when Chuck came back for the second time. And John talked about the fact that Al Davis wasn't afraid to hire a 33-year-old, and that 33-year-old was named John Madden. Here's Favre, and that is dropped.
Right, and I felt at the time, and I remember telling Al Davis this, if I'm going to be a head coach, it doesn't make any difference if it's now when I'm 32. In fact, I was hired when I was 32. I started at 33, but I'm not going to be any better in 3 or 4 years. And I feel the same way about Jeff Fisher. If you had an opportunity, he's 33 years old, heck, hire him, because if you believe he's going to be a head coach or a very good head coach, he would have been at 33.
Were you shocked, though, when you first got wind that you would be hired?
No, because I thought I should have been the coach, and I'm sure Jeff Fisher thought he should have been.
On 2nd and 10, that's caught. 47-yard line, first down. Javon Walker. Speaking of John prowling the sidelines.
No. That you have him, right. I have him. You have him on the play pass, right?
Right, on the play pass.
1st and 10. I mean, a far formation running down, we can go under with him. See? We can also sometimes, on 1st and 10, run a strong dog or a red dog.
Strong dog, red dog. Favre throws, and that's incomplete. You're an assistant coach that year. John Roush is the head coach.
Super Bowl II, and the thing that I remember most about that game, Al, we were coaching against Vince Lombardi. And I remember one time I'm standing on the sideline, and I lined myself up right across the field with Vince Lombardi, put my hands on my knees, and I go, I'm coaching against Vince Lombardi. I swear I did that. That was, because the Super Bowl wasn't, in those years, and Super Bowl II what it is today. But as I said earlier, Vince Lombardi was my idol, and to be on the same field coaching against him, I thought, man, I've died and gone to heaven.
And that was the last game Lombardi coached as the coach of the Green Bay Packers. He would go on to Washington, and then he got sick, and that's the way it ended for him. 3rd down and 10. And the Packer Hall of Fame. Of course, a lot of the pictures deal with the Lombardi era, and that's the office in which Vince Lombardi drew up some pretty good plans.
One year I was here, and I wanted to see the house where Vince Lombardi lived when he coached here, and I went and visited. And he had a room downstairs where they used to go after the games and sit, and have a beverage and something to eat. And I went down and sat in that room.
Incomplete. 4th down. You know what I noticed in Lombardi's office, and I guess they've tried to recreate it, between those, it was a big ashtray. One of those standing, and Vince loved to smoke.
Well, in those days, everyone smoked. I mean, coaches would smoke on the sideline, and when I first came into pro football, it was a shock to me, but you'd go in at halftime, you know what the players would have? Coffee and a cigarette.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, a cup of coffee and a smoke at halftime.
4th and 10. Javon Walker, and they convert. That's a 1st down inside the 25-yard line.
Well, and congratulations to you for going into the Hollywood Wall of Fame, the Walk of Fame, I mean, and getting a star in Hollywood. That has to be a big deal. That's coming up this week.
Thank you very much. It's being in my hometown. It'll be a lot of fun.
So what do? They just put a star in there, and then they unveil it, and there you are.
That's my understanding.
Was there a picture of you?
No picture.
Just a star in the name.
It's like Tony Fisher makes the catch here. I guess it's like, well, look, it's better to go in when you're alive, because otherwise it's kind of like, I don't want to say it's a tombstone, but
you're
it's like
not
a
around
memorial.
dead people, are you? Or are you?
I think I'm going in between Douglas Fairbanks Sr., and I know he's not around.
No. But anyway, that's great. I mean, that's a great honor, and congratulations. And
well, thank you.
I know it's this week. I wish I could be there, but the bus can't get from here to there that fast. But my thoughts are with you.
Thank you. 2nd down and 3 at the 17-yard line. As Favre throws to the outside, and that's caught by Donald Driver. And Driver is able to convert here.
Remember that pass to Javon Walker? It almost knocked him over. Watch what it was. Here's the pass right here. I mean, he really put something on that one. 66 miles an hour. I think that's the fastest one we have tonight, isn't it?
66, yep. But I can't imagine anything being thrown harder than the one he threw to Donald Driver, where he caught the back of the ball in the 1st half. 1st and 10 now at the 11-yard line. Drive started back at the Green Bay 2. And it's Franks, and he's going to haul that one in for a touchdown. So they go 98 yards. And get on the board again with 5:44 remaining in the 4th period.
That's another one of the reasons that Brett Favre is such a great pro. You see him, and he doesn't get all excited. I mean, he knows that they didn't do the job tonight. And this is Bubba Franks here running a corner pattern and a perfect pass, but he knows it's too much too late. I mean, you hate to see a team where they're getting whipped and everything is going wrong, and then they make one play and they start getting full of themselves and celebrating and stuff. And Brett Favre, the real pro, threw the touchdown and walked off the field.
Longwell for the point after. They make it a 3-touchdown game.
If it's a 3-touchdown game, then you know that the next thing we're going to see is an onside kick attempt.
right after this commercial. Onside kick. Thank you, Packer fans. Onside kick, and that's fielded by Brad Castle at the 40-yard line, and so Tennessee makes sure that Green Bay doesn't keep any momentum. Monday Night Football brought to you by the next Sport Super Duty. Tougher, stronger, smarter. DirecTV, NFL Sunday Ticket on DirecTV. Visit your local retailer for details. And IBM, making on-demand business a reality for companies around the world.
There was one of the great ones, Bart Starr. You know, you think of Lombardi and legends of Vince Lombardi. I think you have to think of Bart Starr. What a class guy. A great player.
And tonight, Brett Favre playing in tonight's game, equaling the appearances by Bart Starr in his career as Antoine Smith picks up about 9 yards. Speaking of Starr and Favre, back through the history of this team, most games played, and right now in a tie. Favre making consecutive start number 194, but before that streak began, he played in 2 games, and for a quarterback to hold that team record, it's pretty unusual. Marino, Elway, and Unitas are the 3 right now, and this franchise as well with Starr and Favre. Second down and 1 from the 31-yard line. Smith again.
You know, we have to start thinking who we're going to put on the horse trailer.
Well, you know, Chris Brown, 148 yards, 27 carries, 2 touchdowns, got him off and running early.
I think he should be there because he got him started, and the other 2 guys that I kind of like were those 2 safeties.
Yeah.
Talk about the job that they did and the big plays that they made between them. They had 3 interceptions. They had a fumble, strip, and recovery, and there was a lot of offense from those 2 safeties on defense. One there, of course, being Tank Williams.
Lamont Thompson, the other first down and 10. They're taking all the time he can off the clock, and Antoine Smith gets taken down in the backfield by Cullen Jenkins. Chris Brown tonight, again, he had 300-yard games before last week when he was held in check by San Diego, but he got him started early on. Big hole, exploits it, goes to the end zone on the first drive, then goes into the end zone again down the left side, and 148 yards, 27 carries for the second-year guy, and there are his first 5 games of the season. 100-yard day at Miami, 152 versus Indy, 101 against the Jags. Last week they had to throw a lot. He only carried 15 times. And tonight, big night for him.
And some of those runs look like the Packers were playing touch tackle, 2-hand touch.
Oh, yeah. Ole.
The thing is Chris Brown does have good speed. You know, he's a straight-up runner, but that's the way he gets his vision, too. And he has excellent vision. And when he sees a hole, he can slash it.
Second and a dozen. Smith.
But again, I go back to my 2 safeties. They have a chance.
Well, we'll talk about it. But first, here's Michelle.
Well, you guys, I spoke to Mike Sherman and asked him what the toughest part of this season has been outside of going 1-3 and now what it looks like 1-4. And he said losing here at Lambeau Field is the toughest thing because he hates disappointing these fans. He says walking off this field is his own personal green mile, referring to that Tom Hanks movie where the walk that prisoners take to the execution room is called the Green Mile. He wishes these fans would yell and scream and throw things. He said it's more like a disappointed parent, which can be excruciating. But, Al, I guess you got to be careful what you wish for, because tonight these fans were yelling and screaming at least a little bit more. A lot of boos, as we heard. And it looks like Mike Sherman's going to make that Green Mile walk again.
And he'll make that Green Mile walk under a circumstance I don't think I've ever seen here, where almost everybody has gone home before the game is over. I mean, there are plenty of good seats available in Lambeau Field right now.
And they were never in this game. I mean, and that's probably, you know, the fans realize that. I mean, they weren't defensively, they weren't offensively, special teams. I mean, there's not many bright spots that are going to come out of this game for the Green Bay. But there's not any bright spots. What the heck am I talking about?
And next week they go to Detroit in what all of a sudden now becomes a must-win. Fleming. You know, we overused must-win, but I tell you what, you're 1-4, and you go into the team leading your division in Detroit right now. You better win.
You know, all the procrastinators before the season, you know, they have Green Bay and Minnesota up there, and lo and behold, here's Detroit. So Detroit's kind of doing what they thought Green Bay was doing, and Green Bay is doing what they thought Detroit was going to do.
And that's been the craziness of the NFL. The 4th down and 1 after the measurement. Green Bay is out of timeouts. Detroit and Minnie are each 3-1. And Tennessee's going to take a timeout prior to the 4th and 1 if it can convert here. Well, it's just about over anyway, but that'll pretty much cement it. 41-20. And next week we go to St. Louis. The Rams exploding yesterday in the 4th quarter and winning it in overtime, overcoming a 17-point deficit, beating Seattle, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who hope that they got things started yesterday with a win at New Orleans.
You know, that win yesterday, St. Louis in Seattle, was really something. They just kept throwing. I mean, that's one thing about Mike Martz, and it's the same thing. I mean, his quarterback Bulger's the same way. That they go in, and if they're going to throw and something bad happens, they just keep throwing. Yeah. If they're behind, they just keep throwing. They just keep doing it, and eventually things work out. And Mark Bulger in that 4th quarter, he looked as good as anyone could look.
Winning in OT, we see the Rams for the first time on Monday night this year. We will then see the Rams for the next time after that here against the Packers in late November. It's 4th down and 1. From the 19-yard line, McNair will try to angle his body across the yellow stripe.
Now that call surprises me, other than McNair called it himself and said, I'll do it. I mean, the guy has a bad ankle, is coming off a sternum injury where, you know, 2 weeks ago he couldn't even breathe. And you have a game like this and you run him on a quarterback sneak. That surprises me. I mean, Steve McNair must be feeling pretty good after this game.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder what his wife is saying now, because every time he ran with the ball today or tonight, he either threw it, it slid, or ran out of bounds. And then at the end of it, he runs a quarterback sneak.
To get the yard, which he appears to have. Confirmed. So the Packers are going to be 1-4. They hadn't been 1-3 to start a year since '93. They haven't been 1-4 since '91, pre-Brett Favre era. So they are treading on new ground. And they are the only team in the NFL that hasn't been 3 games below 500 at any time in the last 12 years.
They've always been such a good team. They didn't win every game, but they were in every game. And what happened to them tonight, you would never expect to happen to a Green Bay team.
1st and 10. Meanwhile, for Jeff Fisher, it was only a couple of years ago he started 1-4 with the Titans, and then the next thing you know, they got red hot and wound up going to the AFC Championship game where they lost to the Raiders.
I like his approach. Is you know, things go bad, you lose 3 in a row, but you don't panic, you just keep working, and you take what you did well and you keep that, and the things that you did wrong you correct.
So they have Houston next week in Nashville, then they go to Minnesota, and then Cincy on Halloween before the open date. 2nd and 8, 15-yard line. And Antoine Smith is going to break free, and doesn't that in effect say it all? I mean, just breaking tackles, Most points ever allowed by the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field if the extra point is good. And it's been that kind of a night here.
Yeah, and that's just a defense that has been whipped. I mean, when you get to this point, you've been whipped every way you can be. They've run around you, they've run through you, over you, upside you, downside you, passed on you, done everything else to you. So they may as well walk one into the end zone at the end of the game.
Anderson. So the most points ever allowed by the Green Bay Packers here comes from a team that hadn't scored more than 17 in any of its previous 3 games. That Redskin game was that 1983 game was a Monday night game. 48-47. They won. You're going to give up 47 points. That's when you do it.
You know, and that's the kind of game at one time that they were capable of playing. You know, when you'd say you want to get into a shootout. Okay, heck, let's get into a shootout. We have Brett Favre. Who you got?
Well, right now they've got Craig Knoll. He's going to be the guy coming in. Doug Peterson, who was the backup and has been for quite a while, he was hurt when he came in to replace Favre last week, and he is on injured reserve, so he is done for the season. Knoll played his college ball in Louisiana at Northwestern State after transferring from LSU, but he's the backup. And then when they traded McKenzie to New Orleans, they wound up with that man who played his college ball at UC Davis, J.T. O'Sullivan.
And they kind of like him. I don't know that they have the heir apparent to Brett Favre, though, on this squad right now. And I don't know that they know.
Yeah. 15-yard line, Chapman. Up to the 36-yard line. Quarterback comparison tonight. Well, you know, there's a typical example. I mean, sometimes, a lot of times, when a guy throws for more than 300 yards, and there it is, 338, they weren't even in the game.
Yeah, but look at here, 3 interceptions and no interception.
Right, huge.
I mean, that's a big part of it is the turnovers. I mean, they had a fumble and the interceptions and a couple of fumbles, 3 interceptions, and the Titans just took it away from them, and the Titans didn't give it away.
Craig Knoll throws. It's Javon Walker. First down. 50-yard line.
Saying I don't know that they have the heir apparent here. Remember in the offseason they tried to bring in Tim Couch and thought maybe he would be the guy, and he wasn't. And now they have Knoll and they have O'Sullivan, who they just brought in, but I think they'll probably still be looking.
First and 10. Walker again. He steps out 1 tick before the 2-minute warning to give him 1 extra play here.
I think Javon Walker hurt himself on that play, Al. In fact, I know he did. He was trying to keep that right foot in, and he just kind of kept the foot in and put all the pressure on the joint.
So Walker comes out, tries to shake it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it takes that abbreviated step. 2nd and 5 now. And that's caught by Driver. And Driver to the 26-yard line thinks he wasn't tackled, but he was. And that takes us to the 2-minute warning. So we're closing it out at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. Tennessee on top by 4 touchdowns.
We're live at the United Way Draft, where Kevin Carter is holding a press conference.
Kevin, what's it like being drafted by the Clothing Drive?
It's a huge thrill. I mean, honestly, I'm just excited to help the people of Tennessee.
After years of volunteering, do you still have the same fire?
Absolutely. The more you go out there and volunteer, the more you want to experience that over and over again.
They're already hyping you for most valuable volunteer. How are you dealing with the pressure?
I still put on my pants 1 leg at a time, except when I'm done wearing them. I donate them.
Get involved in your community. It's what matters.
He just loves football, and he's like a man genius. This is a way to start it.
Welcome to Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football. Bucks, Rams,
next Monday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on ABC.
Coming up next, the Autotrader.com post-game show. Somebody's picture winds up on the horse trailer. Bud Light Blimp providing the aerial coverage of an emptying out Lambeau Field, and we go to Michelle.
Yeah, and the fact that it's emptying out is probably making Craig Nall a little bit more relaxed out. When I talked to him during the week, he was fairly nervous about possibly playing in this game. He's been inactive for a number of games, but preparing this week to be the #2 guy was a different thing for him. He said he had to relax in practice, just sort of take things one at a time, keep himself calm. He was glad that the crowd noise would be easy on him. It's certainly being easy on him now with so much of this crowd gone, but he was nervous. He spent a lot of time after every practice working with Robert Ferguson, and that was the guy he connected with last game when he came in for Favre. So that's the guy he has a comfort zone with, he told me, but I'm sure that the nerves are a lot less, Al, now that there aren't many people here, and this is a no-win situation for Craig Nall.
And who would have figured that at Lambeau Field on a Monday night?
You know what I think, Al? I think you get to a point that when the crowd leaves, it's just not a crowd anymore.
Okay, good. Right.
And I think there's just some people sitting in some seats.
Yeah. There's some mannequins up there, props. Fisher drops it. Up-to-date counting tonight. Rushing leaders in the NFL. Tiki Barber on top. Then there's Chris Brown second, James, Martin, and Lewis. And who would have believed no Giant player has led the league at the end of the week this late in the season since going back to Eddie Price. I mean, that's pre-Frank Gifford in 1951.
He looks like a different guy, though. I mean, I've seen him 2 or 3 times this year, and he's playing super. And, you know, and that offensive line's not bad either. I mean, they were maligned, that Giant line, and they weren't going to be able to do anything. And so, yeah, I mean, you have to give a lot of that credit, I know, to Tiki Barber, but you know, his offensive line is a lot better than anyone thought they were going to be.
Giants have won 4 straight, knocking off Dallas yesterday. First down and 10, Green Bay, 16-yard line. Fisher. Crew moving down to St. Louis next week. Fred Gaudelli, Drew Esikoff, Joey Abenda, and the gang. Steve Hurt, our director of information. George Hill, our statistician. Malibu, Kelly Hayes. Just traveling the country, working with Keith Jackson on Saturday. He's just Kelly Hayes with Keith, but he's Malibu Kelly Hayes on Monday night.
Oh, Malibu was just in Malibu last week. He had some kind of reunion, he told me. Some kind of Malibu tennis club reunion. Malibu was there.
If you're in Malibu, you have to go to the tennis club.
I think everyone was nicknamed Malibu that was there.
To the 2-yard line, Tony Fisher. Making it first and goal.
Well, the people that are still sitting in their seats are cheering for Nall here.
I think Brett will start next week, don't you?
Yeah, it's Brett Favre's job. Nall's not going to be winning it.
Right. First and goal. And Craig Nall can forever say he threw a touchdown pass on Monday Night Football as Javon Walker pulls it in with 61 seconds remaining.
That's the thing you do down here. You see Javon Walker. He's the outside receiver here, and he's going to come up and run a little delay. You take the inside guy and run him out, and as he runs out, he makes a little pick. And then Javon Walker, the outside guy, comes off of that pick to the inside.
There's hope.
He's just getting cold and wants to warm up.
Game time temperature was 50, probably in the mid-40s right now. We'll be back here in late November for a Monday night game against St. Louis. Well, comes time to name it, John.
Well, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I agree with Chris Brown. My only thing was I'd like to get the two safeties there, Lamont Thompson and Tank Williams, too, if that's possible. Now, if you just want one guy there to take the ride to St. Louis, that's fine with me, too.
Well, you know, it was such a complete team effort. We don't put coaches up there, otherwise Jeff Fisher would be a guy that would be considered. So since it is a complete team effort, I checked with Fred Gaudelli, our Secretary of State, who counted all the ballots. Freddie, what do you think? All three guys? Affirmative.
Well, what'd you say about Jeff Fisher?
Well, you know, didn't we once say we shouldn't put a coach up there?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I thought you were talking about him, too.
Yeah. But I figured
that was another conversation.
That was okay. The 36-yard line. In fact, I think we were having that conversation with Doc Rivers. I can't remember, but that's Michael Waddell taking it out of bounds. But we're going to put the three guys